Story. Naruto from a young age was fascinated with becoming a Pokemon trainer, especially ever since his new stepfather came into his life after his mother remarried. The man who she married was the Kanto champion and one of the strongest dragon Pokemon trainers. His name was Ryoku Tatsumori. My OC will be in this story as Naruto's stepfather. Ryoku taught Naruto everything he needed to know about being a trainer and to always love and respect your Pokemon because they're considered as family, and Naruto always saw them as his family and friends. Now we come to where our story begins. In the peaceful country town of Pallet Town, we find the young 10-year-old Naruto outside playing with his stepfather's Pokemon. One Pokemon is a draconic, bipedal Pokemon. It is covered mainly in orange scales with a cream underside from the chest to the tip of the tail. It has a long snout and neck, small blue eyes, and 2 horns protruding from the back of its head. There are large wings with teal undersides sprouting from its back. Its arms are short and skinny and its hands have 3 clawed fingers. Its feet have 3 clawed toes and cream-colored soles. This Pokemon is Charizard. The other 2 Pokemon are also draconic, bipedal Pokemon, but with light orange skin. They have large, gray eyes and a round snout with small nostrils. There is a pair of long, thin antennae, as well as a small horn on the top of their heads. Their striated underbellies are cream-colored and extend to the tip of their long, tapering tail. They have thick arms and legs ending in 3 claws each. Its leg joints are well-defined, while its arms have a smooth, rounded appearance. Their wings are small relative to its body, with teal wing membranes. These Pokemon were Dragonites. The 3 Pokemon and young blonde were playing in the backyard under the watchful eyes of Naruto's stepfather. The man, he was a fairly tall, fair-skinned man having bright, red eyes with slits and long spiky, blue hair that reached the center of his back. The man also has jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face, and he had red lines coming down his eyes which looked like he was crying blood tears. He wore a simple black suit with a distinctive white fur collar. This armor was constructed from numerous blue metal plates, formed into multiple protective guards along his body, in particular, chest, waist, shoulders, and upper arms. This clothing was accompanied by sandals and a hopori engraved with his clan's symbol, which was 4 leaf-like wings with a ring appearing in between the spaces. He also wore a short-sleeved long black haori over his attire, decorated by lightning clouds motifs on the edges, with the kanji for Storm Dragon, Pseudo Mudoragon, written vertically down the back, and closed on the front by a thin, blue rope. The man smiled as he watched his stepson play with his Pokemon companions. He is then joined by a woman who was well known for her beauty. She had a slender, but feminine build, fair skin, violet eyes, fiery red hair with strands that framed both sides of her face, and a black clip that parts her hair to the left. As an adult, she generally wore the same outfit consisting of a high-collared, sleeveless blouse under a long, loose-fitting dress. The blouses have been depicted in slate blue as well as white, while the dresses have ranged from tan to green. She also wore a wristband that ranged from black to dark blue on her left wrist and sandals that have ranged from black to lavender. This is Kushina Yu Tatsumori. She and Ryoku got married after her late husband walked out on her and her newborn son. Ryoku, being Kushina's childhood friend, ended up taking care of both her and her son. Then after a few years, Naruto grew attached to the young champion and even called him father when he started to speak. Then after a few more years, the two finally got hitched and the family couldn't be any happier, especially since he was the inspiration for Naruto becoming a Pokemon trainer. Kushina then sat down next to her husband as she watched her son play. "Ryo-kun, do you think he'll be alright after he gets his Pokemon tomorrow?" she said, concerning over her son's safety. Ryoku then turned to her and planted a kiss on her forehead and looked at her with a loving look. "Kushi-chan, I too am worried about our son's safety. But knowing him, he'll argue with us, saying that we went on our journeys at his age and it should only be fair that he did the same," he told her as he cupped her face. "Beside, after he gets his first Pokemon from Professor Hiruzen Sarutobi, I have a Pokemon that I want to give to him," he says as he pulls out a particular Pokeball that's almost entirely black with a gold band around the middle as well as a gold button, and carries rings of red on both halves, which themselves are flanked by rings of gold. "In this ball is the very same Pokemon that I started with when I began my journey with," he said as he looked at the Pokeball as if reliving old memories. She then smiles at her husband and touches his hand on her face. "You're right, Ryo-kun. It'll be very quiet around here once he leaves. Speaking of which, the champion has to leave as well. She asks her husband with worry. Ryoku looked at her. No, not really, there hasn't been any new activity that'll need my assistance and the Elite Four can manage just fine without me, so I'll be here at home until I'm summoned, he said to reassure her. Kushina then gets up and walks over to her son. Naru-chan, dinner is ready and you need to be in bed early so that you can get your Pokémon tomorrow, she said to her son, who then pouted. But mom, just 5 more minutes please, he pleaded with his mother, giving his Growlithe puppy eyes. Kushina tried her hardest to resist the eyes, but she then found herself caving and was about to forfeit until her husband stepped in. Now son, I know you want to continue playing, but just like you, my Pokémon too need to eat, and if you go to bed early and get you first Pokémon tomorrow, I have a present for you, he said, getting the reaction he wanted. Naruto was star-eyed and jumping up and down asking what his gift was until his dad put a hand up stopping him. Now that would ruin the surprise, so I suggest you go and eat and get ready for bed so that tomorrow you're the first one at the lab to receive you Pokémon, and once you do, come right away so that I can give you your gift, he said to the young blonde. Naruto then nodded and marched into his house along with the Pokémon. Ryoku then turned to Kushina holding up a victory sigh with a smug smile on his face, causing Kushina to pout, then to lightly punch him on the shoulder, causing him to laugh a bit. After dinner, Naruto went to the bathroom, took a shower and got dressed in his pajamas and jumped into bed and fell right to sleep. The next day at 5 a.m. Naruto woke up before anyone else got dressed, which consists of a black and orange vest over a black undershirt with blue pants. He also wore black shoes and he also wore black fingerless gloves. He ran down the stairs and out the door to the lab to get his first Pokémon. When he arrived, he noticed that the lights were still off, but he didn't care. He ran up to the door and started knocking. Hello, Professor, I'm here for my Pokémon, he yelled as he knocked. Before he continued, he then heard the door opening and waited eagerly for the professor to greet him, but instead he got a bonk on the head from a very angry, but still half asleep Professor Sarutobi. Do you have any idea what time it is, you idiot? He asked the young blonde, who then bowed. I'm sorry for waking you up, Professor, but I wanted to get my first Pokémon before anyone else, so can I please receive my Pokémon? He asked the professor, who then sighed and moved aside to let the boy in. For about 5 minutes the two went to the center of the lab where the Pokémon were being held. But along the way Sarutobi was explaining to the boy about the responsibilities of being a trainer, and Naruto explained to the professor that his father and mother had explained to him what it meant to be a trainer, and thus he had accepted the responsibility when his time came to start his journey, which caused the old man to smile. They then arrived to a room with a capsule containing 3 sphere-like objects in a triangular formation. Then the professor pressed a few buttons and the capsule opened up, reveal 3 Pokeballs, each one containing a starter Pokemon: the grass Pokemon Bulbasaur, the water Pokemon Squirtle, and the fire Pokemon Charmander. Naruto then went for the Pokeball with the fire emblem and picked it up. Charmander, I choose you, he commanded, causing the Pokeball to open up and summoning a flash of light, which then took the form of a bipedal lizard-like creature with a flame on its tail. But what was unusual was that this Charmander wasn't its usual orange color, but it was a bright yellow color and its flame was a bright orange color, which then caused the professor to smile. Congratulations, my boy, your Charmander is a shiny Pokemon, which so happens to be a very rare thing among Pokemon, so consider yourself the luckiest trainer alive. Which then caused the boy to pick up his new partner. Char, will you accept in being my partner? He asked the rare-colored Charmander, which then climbed onto his shoulders and gave a pump fist as if accepting his request. Naruto then smiled. Welcome to the team Char, together we'll become the strongest team ever and we'll become the next Pokemon champions of Kanto, he said, causing his new partner to nod. Sarutobi then proceeded to giving him his Pokédex and his first set of Pokeballs to begin on his journey. Naruto then called Char back into its Pokeball and ran home, only to be stopped by the one person who he despised more than anyone ever, Uchiha Sasuke. He growled at the name. The Pidgey butt boy then snarled at the blonde. Well, if it isn't the Dobby himself. And where are you going in such a hurry? Gonna run home and cry because the professor refused to give you a Pokemon, he said, causing his pink-haired Banshee follower to add, yeah, losers like will never be a Pokemon trainer because only people like Sasuke-kun have that right to be trainers, she said, causing the blonde to grit his teeth together in anger, nearly reaching for Char's Pokeball to shit them up, but was stopped when he remembered that his dad was going to give him a going-away present. He took a deep breath and looked at them with a cold expression. Like my father said, people like you will never be strong because your own arrogance and ego blind you from what it means to be strong. He said, causing the two to chuckle a bit. Then Sasuke responded, your dad may be the champion now, but I'll take that title and prove that I deserve it more than anyone. He said, causing his follower to reply, your dad will never beat Sasuke-kun once he gets his first Pokemon and beats the champion. She said, causing Naruto to laugh at them, but instead of answering back he just walked home. When Naruto got home, his mother and stepfather were already there to greet him. Ryoku was the first to speak. So, Naruto, I take it that you've already received your first Pokemon? Naruto, instead of a verbal response, he pulled out a Pokeball and called out Char. When he did, the little fire starter immediately after being summoned tackled its trainer and snuggled into his chest, causing his parents to laugh at their son's situation, causing their son to blush. Finishing his bit of laughter, Ryoku then took notice of the unusual color palette of Naruto's Charmander and gave his son a thumbs up. Wow, Naruto, not even a Pokemon trainer for a whole day and you already have a rare colored Pokemon and a Charmander nonetheless, and to make it even more rare, it's a female. Ryoku said, causing Naruto to look at his stepfather with a questioning look on his face. What do you mean, San? Naruto asked. Before Ryoku could answer, his wife beat him to it. Well, Soichi-kun, normally all starter Pokemon are not just of normal color, but are also all male, and only seldom do they send a female starter Pokemon, let alone a rare colored Pokemon, to new trainers, and that would also explain why she's very clingy to her new trainer. She said, pointing at the little fire starter as it snuggled deeper into her trainer's chest, causing the boy to blush. After their little fun, they entered the house for breakfast. As they ate, Ryoku's own Pokemon were introduced to Naruto's first Pokemon, which caught the attention of Ryoku's own Charizard when it saw the off-colored Charmander, which when she saw the larger fire-type Pokemon she hid behind its trainer, causing the Dragonite pair to laugh at their partner, who just grumbled at his two comrades before going back to his meal, with the Dragonite duo following after. After eating, Ryoku got up and left the room, causing Naruto to question what his stepfather was doing, only to see him appear in the kitchen once again, only to be seen carrying a small wooden box with the dragon emblem. The emblem is the dragon energy for the TCG, engraved onto the box. Naruto Yu Tatsumori, please step forward, he commanded his son to do, which he did without question. Young Naruto, on behalf of the Dragon Pokemon Trainer Order in Kanto, as leader I present to you your first Dragon Pokemon, he said as he opened the box, revealing a luxury ball. Naruto then picked up the Pokeball. That Naruto is called a luxury ball, a present from your fiancé all the way from Sinnoh, and Cynthia also said that she and your other fiancés, both Claire from Johto and Iris from Unova, mentioned that they'll be coming to Kanto via flying on their Dragon Pokemon and will be landed in Cerulean City in 3 weeks' time, so be on the lookout when you get there, alright? He stated, causing Naruto to blush even more than this morning. He then threw the ball to summon the Pokemon inside, and when the Pokemon came out, the next thing he knew was the new Pokemon was snuggling against his leg. It's a serpentine Pokemon with a pink body and a white belly. It has a white fin on either side of its head and a white bump on its forehead. Above its large, round, white snout are oval, purple eyes. Naruto automatically knew what the Pokemon was, but what caught his attention was that it was a pink color instead of its usual blue. The Pokemon that his stepfather had just given him is a rare colored Dratini. Naruto pulled out his Pokédex and acquired the data of all the Pokemon currently present in the room. Charmander, the lizard Pokemon. A flame burns on the tip of its tail from birth. It is said that a Charmander dies if its flame ever goes out. Charizard, the flame Pokemon. The final evolution of Charmander. Charizard's powerful flame can melt absolutely anything. Dratini, the dragon Pokemon. Dratini sheds its skin as it grows, often doing so while hidden behind large powerful waterfalls. Dragonite, the dragon Pokemon. This extremely rare and highly intelligent type is able to fly faster than any known Pokemon. After calling both his Pokemon back into their Pokeballs, Naruto went to his room to get ready to set out on his journey. Little did he know that both his parents had already filled his bag with every item. Pokeball, medical supplies for himself and his Pokemon, every TM and hem from all regions, every berry, and a few important key items such as a map. A Pokegear from Johto just in case he can't make it to a Pokemon Center. 3 different types of fishing rods, camping gear. A box containing a special surprise all the way from Ryoku's homeland of Kalos. There is the hint of what the surprise could be and a hint of my OC's backstory. and a money card for 9,999,999 yen, and a badge case. Naruto finally comes down wearing an entirely new outfit comprised of a dark orange vest with black accents and black sleeves, a black short sleeve shirt underneath his vest, and on the back of his vest is his mother's family crest with the dragon emblem circling it. He is also wearing black pants and shoes with the same color scheme as his vest. Naruto is also wearing black fingerless gloves with metal plating on the top with the dragon emblem. Ryoku and Kushina looked at their son and gave him his bag full of anything and everything a starting trainer will need. Kushina then approached their son and enveloped him in a big mama bear hug. "Naru-chan, be careful out there and give them hell all right," she said to him before she pulled away from her son. Ryoku then placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and smiled a very proud smile. "Now remember son, trust your instincts. Your heart and your Pokémon, for they're your guide, and don't forget what I've taught you, for I expect great things from you and know that I'm proud of you and for whatever you choose to do," he said right before he pulled Naruto into a hug. "I love you my son, me and your mother love you so very much. Don't forget that while you're out there making a name for yourself all right," he said, causing Naruto to shed a few tears along with his mother and stepfather. As the two pulled away, Naruto then faced his stepfather, Ryoku-san. "Even though you're not my real father, to me and Ka-san you're more my true father than that sperm donor of a man who just up and left my mother while she was still pregnant with me. I know I'll make you proud, and know this too, san, I'm gunning for your title as Pokemon League champion of Kanto, so don't lose," he stated with a fox-like grin that'll make Azora jealous. Ryoku and Kushina went wide-eye with Naruto's statement before giving him a soft expression with smiles on their faces. "Well son, you better be off if you're to take my title, but just because you're my son doesn't mean I'll go easy on you. You'll have to prove to me that you're capable of relinquishing me of my title," Ryoku said, grinning a toothy grin. "Then I'm off," Naruto said as he headed for the door with his parents following suit to see him off, and as Naruto opens the door he is then greeted by an unwelcome sight. Sasuke Uchiha and his pink-haired fangirl waiting for him. "Yo loser, I hear you got the Charmander I wanted," Sasuke snarled. Then his fangirl following suit. "That Pokemon belongs to Sasuke-kun, so hand it over," she yelled, causing the family of three to frown. Ryoku then spoke up. "I believe that Charmander chose my son to be its trainer, not the other way around. Now I strongly suggest you get off my property before I force you to," he stated as he released some of his ki, causing both Sasuke and Sakura to back away before Sasuke finally spoke up. "I'm not leaving until I get my Charmander, and if you won't give it to me willingly, then I'll force you to," he said as he pulled out a Pokeball and summoned the Pokemon inside. The Pokemon is a turtle-like Pokemon, but bipedal, blue, and has a squirrel-like tail. This Pokemon is a Squirtle. Seeing this, Naruto got out his Pokédex. Squirtle. The tiny turtle Pokemon. It draws its long neck into its shell to launch incredible water attacks with amazing range and accuracy. The blasts can be quite powerful. Naruto then puts away his Pokédex and faces Sasuke. "Come on loser, unless you're too scared of losing, and if so just hand over Charmander and any other Pokemon you have there wasted on a failure like you," he said with his fangirl nodding in agreement. Naruto clenched his fists in anger, but his father took notice of this and spoke. "Naruto, calm yourself and show this arrogant punk that he's the one who's wrong," he said, reassuring Naruto, causing him to look at his father, who then smiled a proud smile which made the young blonde to do the same. Taking a deep breath and calming down, Naruto then turned to Sasuke as he pulled out the luxury ball. "Very well Sasuke Teme, I'll battle you, but if we're battling with my Pokemon a stake, then maybe you should do the same with your Pokemon," he stated, causing Kushina and Sakura to widen their eyes hearing what Naruto just said. Before anyone could respond, Sasuke agreed to the terms of the battle. "Setsuna, I choose you," he called his Pokemon to his side. When the oddly colored Dratini was summoned, it caused Sasuke to grin an evil grin. "I can't wait to take that Dratini from you. Its power is wasted on a loser like you when it can do wonders in the hands of an Uchiha elite," he said, causing Sakura to agree and the family plus Pokemon to roll their eyes. Naruto then turned to his Dratini and nodded, which caused the little dragon Pokemon to do the same. "Not a chance Teme. Go Setsuna, use Dragon Dance," he commanded his Pokemon, which then gave a mighty roar as red energy covered the entire length of the Pokemon, causing the opposing water Pokemon to tremble at the tremendous power surge its opponent was putting out. The little Squirtle wanted out of this fight, but as she looked back at her trainer and his angered look made her second-guess herself. Squirtle, if you so much as look back at me again, I'll abandon you. Sasuke warned the tiny turtle Pokémon, making it want to curl up and cry, and the family of Free to glare at him for threatening to abandon his Pokémon, which won't matter anymore. The Dratini, after performing its stat boost technique, it then zeroed in on its target. Setsuna used Thunderbolt. The little dragon Pokémon then unleashed a powerful surge of electrical energy that struck the little turtle Pokémon with unforgiving force, causing it to faint almost immediately. When the match ended with Naruto's victory, Ryoku then spoke, "Well then, I guess my son wins this little anti-match, so kid, I suggest you hold up your end of the bargain." The current champion stated to Sasuke, who's now seething in hatred towards his failure of a Pokémon and at the blonde who beat him with one move. Clenching his teeth and fists, he grabbed his Pokeball and threw it to Naruto, who then caught it and watched Sasuke storm off, with Sakura following after. Naruto then walked over to the tiny turtle Pokemon, who was whimpering for failing its former trainer, thus being abandoned, and was now at the mercy of its new trainer. When Naruto and Setsuna came over to the downed Squirtle, he got on his knees in front of it, went for his bag and took out a small box with green liquid in it and sprayed it all over the injured Pokemon, thus healing it. If you've played Pokemon before, then you'd know the item that was just used is full restore. Then he extended his hand and patted the Pokemon to comfort it, which caused it to flinch at first, but leaned into its new trainer warm touch, causing the young blonde and his parents to smile. Naruto then picked up the newly healed Squirtle and gave it a hug, causing the tiny turtle to return the hug and burying its head into Naruto's chest to hide her tears. After all the emotional stuff was done and over with, Naruto introduced Squirtle, who he now called Mizukame, Water Turtle, to Char, his rare-colored Charmander, and reintroduced her to his rare-colored Dratini. With all three Pokemon hitting it off very well, causing Naruto to withdraw them back into their respective Pokeballs, then he turned to his parents and bid them a farewell. As Ryoku and Kushina watched their son set off on his journey, Ryoku then pulled out a Pokeball and summoned the Pokemon within. The Pokemon is a large, bipedal Pokemon. Its head has two vicious eyes, pointed ears, and a mouth full of serrated fangs. It has light violet-gray skin over much of its body. Two pale violet membranes stretch between its arms and sides. It has plate-like spines going down its back, leading to its strong, triangular spade-tipped tail. Its talon-like feet are capable of scooping up and tightly clutching any would-be foe. This Pokemon is an Aerodactyl, an extinct Pokemon of the Kanto region. The ancient Pokemon then let out a mighty roar before turning to its master, eager to serve. "Aerodactyl, I want you to keep an eye on Naruto, just until he reaches Viridian City, is that understood?" he asked his Pokemon, who then nodded and took off into the sky to oversee his charge. Naruto reaches to edge of Pallet Town before setting off. He takes a deep breath and takes his first step to becoming a master. Little did he know that he's being watched by the protective eyes of his father's Pokemon. It's only been a few hours since Naruto had begun his journey. Here we find our favorite blonde hero taking his first steps to becoming the next champion of Kanto once he beats his stepfather for the title. As he continued making his way to Viridian City, a thought crossed his mind, causing him to stop mid-step. "From what Tusan told me, Viridian City has a gym, and if I were to challenge said gym, are my Pokemon strong enough to even compete, let alone W?" And he thought to himself. After the thought passed, Naruto made the decision to stay on the route to train his Pokemon till they're strong enough for have evolved and maybe catch a few Pokemon on the side. As Naruto ventured into the waist-high grass, he heard an all-too-familiar chirping that came from one of the most common Pokemon in the Kanto region. Following the chirping, he then came across a clearing filled with an entire flock of the tiny bird Pokemon known as Pidgey. Pidgey resembles a small, plump-bodied avian Pokemon. Pidgey is primarily brown with a lighter throat and belly. Both its feet and beak are a pinkish-gray color. It has black markings around its eyes and a small crest of brown and cream feathers above its eyes. Naruto then pulled out his Pokédex to acquire the Pokemon's data. Pidgey, the tiny bird Pokemon. A common sight in forests and woods. It flaps its wings at ground level to kick up blinding sand. As he put his Pokédex away, Naruto looked through the flock then. One of the Pidgey caught his attention. The tiny Pokemon had a green tint to its usual color palette. This caused the blonde trainer to reach a conclusion. He would catch the little bird Pokemon and train it for his upcoming gym battle. He then got out Setsuna's Pokeball and aimed it at the odd-colored Pidgey. "Setsuna, I choose you." He cried out as he threw the ball at the shiny Pidgey, catching its attention and scaring the other Pidgey away from the soon-to-be battleground. Setsuna then emerged from her Pokeball and faced her opponent, Target. Alright, Setsuna, use Thunderbolt. Naruto commanded, in which his odd-colored Dratini did only for the Pidgey to dodge said attack and counter with a quick attack which hit its target, forcing Setsuna to back away. This action caused Naruto to raise an eyebrow. This Pidgey is stronger than it looks. I wonder if it's close to evolving, and if so, I'll need to be careful, the blonde trainer mentally noted before getting back to the battle at hand. Setsuna used Aqua Tail, then follow it up with Thunderbolt. Naruto ordered, and surely enough both attacks hit their mark with deadly accuracy, causing the Pidgey to crash into the ground with swirling eyes. Naruto then took out a green Pokeball with rings on the top half, This is a nest ball, and threw it at the down Pidgey. The nest ball flew to its intended target, hit the down Pidgey, and as it opened up, the Pidgey was then enveloped in a glow of red. Then it was sucked into the green capture device, then it closed. It struggled once, twice, thrice, then the ding was heard. Naruto then walked over to the now full capture device and picked it up. He smiled and turned to his oddly colored Dratini. Our first capture, and it's all thanks to you, Setsuna, he said, causing the pink Dratini to cry out in happiness for pleasing her trainer. Naruto then turned to the nest ball in his hand and tossed it into the air. Hane, Feather, I choose you. Naruto summoned his new Pokémon, which then circled around him a couple of times before perching itself on his left shoulder, causing Setsuna to glare at Hane, which responded with its own version of a troll face. Setsuna would have retaliated, but chose not to because the possibility of hitting her trainer was too great a risk, so she let Hane have this one for now. Seeing this, Naruto decided to intervene before it got worse. Alright, you two, let's see if we can catch a few more Pokémon. Hane, you'll be my eye in the sky. He ordered to his newly caught shiny Pidgey, which responded with a nodded before taking off to find more Pokémon for its new trainer to catch. As he watched Hane take off, he brought out Setsuna's Pokeball and called her back in and followed Hane to any new Pokémon to add to his party. For 3 hours of searching and no luck, even with Hane acting as his eyes in the sky, Naruto called back Hane and decided to try another method of finding Pokémon, and that was finding them through their aura. Naruto, like his stepfather, have strong aura signatures, and at a young age was trained by his stepfather's Lucario in how to use aura to sense his surroundings with his eyes blinded by darkness, and how to sense the distinct aura that all Pokemon have, and what his stepfather told him: the stronger the aura, the stronger the Pokemon. And as he began in trying to find Pokemon through their aura, almost immediately after closing his eyes and opening himself to the aura, he then sensed a rather powerful aura signature in the patch of forest to his left, which caught his attention. What can be that powerful, and why is it here? He mentally asked himself. Deciding to investigate, he took out an unusual Pokeball. The Pokeball, like all Pokeballs, is spherical in shape. The top and bottom halves are divided by a horizontal black band, on which is the button found on all Pokeballs. The top half is purple, with a white letter M on the front, with a pink circle on either side. This Pokeball is a Master Ball, one of the 60 that his stepfather gave to him before setting off on his journey, since Ryoku, the president of Sylph Company, and the president of the Pokeball factory in Kalos are good friends. As Naruto ventured into the forest, the aura signature was getting stronger, meaning he was getting closer to the source. Naruto then finds himself in the middle of the forest, and there he finds the source and something he thought he'd never see in his lifetime. The Pokemon is a little blue, bipedal Pokemon with mammalian features. Its snout is short and wide, and it has triangular ears and large, closed eyes, meaning that it was asleep. It has 3-fingered paws, large feet with oval markings on the soles, and a long, thin tail ending in an ovoid tip. Its hair is so fine and thin, it can only be seen under a microscope. It has big hind legs and short arms with 3-fingered paws. This Pokemon was a rare-colored Mew, and Naruto, not wasting time, threw the Master Ball, which then hit its mark, drew the sleeping Pokemon into the capture device and closed. It struggled once, twice, thrice, then the ding was heard. Naruto then approached the now full Master Ball, picked it up and stared at it, not believing in what he had just captured. He then summoned Mew, who was now awake and was staring at its new trainer. Naruto, still not believing that he had indeed caught a Mew, so he pulled out his Pokédex to see if he wasn't hallucinating. Mew, the new species Pokémon, so rare that it is still said to be a mirage by many experts. Only a few people have seen it worldwide. Now convinced that he had indeed caught a Mew, Naruto did the only thing that was completely logically at the moment. He fainted. Mew then looked at its new trainer only to shrug before sleeping on Naruto's chest, which it found to being a very comfortable. About an hour has gone by and our blonde hero finally wakes up to a small weight on his chest, leaning to see what was on him only to see his newly caught Mew sleeping on his chest, which caused him to smile, and he then started to pet the sleeping Pokemon, who started to purr as he gently ran his hand over its small body, causing him to chuckle a bit and find it extremely cute. He then gently nudges the sleeping Mew to wake it up, which it did, and with his big blue eyes it stared at its blonde trainer before giggling up a storm from what Naruto did an hour ago. Mew then levitated off of Naruto as the blonde stood up. Okay, I've finally come to terms that I had just captured you, so the question now is whether or not if you'll like to join me on my quest. He said to the cat-like Pokemon, who then tilted its head as if wondering what Naruto was saying. After a few seconds, Mew then landed on his right shoulder and gently nudged its head against Naruto's face, showing its affection to its new trainer. Naruto, getting his answer, then pet Mew's head and fist pumped. Yosh. Then let's go together, Omi. He yelled, causing Mew to imitate Naruto with its own fist pump. After about 30 minutes of walking through the grass, Naruto and Mew find another clearing, so Naruto then got out his other Pokeballs and summoned his other Pokemon. Char the Charmander, Setsuna the Dratini, Mizukame the Squirtle, Hane the Pidgey, and his newest Pokemon Omi the Mew, who then joined the other Pokemon. All 5 Pokemon then faced their trainer, who was looking at them with a grin that'll scare even a Gengar on his face, causing his Pokemon to sweat a bit. Alright everyone, today we'll start our training, but unlike most trainers I will be taking a page from Ryokucho-san's book and to train you until you reach level 16 or evolve, whichever came first. He said, causing his first 4 Pokemon to shiver, while Mew breathed a sigh of relief. Naruto then got his backpack, then pulled out several devices that looked like restraints, similar to the ones in Pokémon Indigo League, Season 1, Episode 8. The path to the Pokémon League, and attached them to all his Pokémon, which surprised Mew, which then caused them to fight against the restraints, and as they did, Naruto then got out an unusual device that looked like a laptop attached to a small box, and when activated the box grew in size and blew out a giant balloon Pokémon, which scared his Pokémon as he stepped forward. I have a bad feeling about this, his Pokemon mentally said in unison as they watched their trainer stop in front of them. Alright y'all, starting today we'll begin your training and we will end it in a week's time. So we'll be increasing your strength, endurance, speed, stamina, reflexes and timing. The device that just spit out the Pokemon balloon is called the Super Trainer. Wishing we had these during the red and blue invasion of Pokemon. That'll increase everything that I had just mentioned, and also the balloons will be fighting back. And before we continue, Mew, the reason why you're going through this is because even though you're a legendary Pokemon, that doesn't mean you're strong, it just means that you can do things that no other Pokemon can do, Naruto said as he pressed a single key, causing the balloon's eyes to glowing, making the Pokemon back away. Naruto then gave an eerie toothy grin. Like my stepfather before me, I welcome you to hell, he announced as the Pokemon balloon started firing soccer balls at his Pokemon. As this was going on, Ryokucho's Aerodactyl gave Naruto's Pokemon a look of sympathy. I feel sorry for any Pokemon he catches, Aerodactyl mentally said to himself as a shiver went down his spine, remembering his time at Hell's Training, as it was called by his own trainer. Meanwhile, back at Pallet Town, mainly at the Tatsumori residence, Kushina was washing the dishes when she felt an emptiness inside her heart. Knowing that her son left for his own journey, she couldn't help but feel lonely without her precious baby boy. Ryoku, who just walked into the kitchen, immediately sensed his wife's distress, went to go and comfort her. He hugged her from behind, surprising her and almost making her drop the plate she was cleaning. Ryokoi, you shouldn't sneak up on my like that, she said to him as he kissed her neck, causing her to let out a small moan. I couldn't help but sense that something is bothering you, my Benheim, so please tell me what ails you so, he asked her. Kushina then lets out a sigh. I just feel a bit lonely is all. With Naruto gone and you being on shore leave until you're needed, I'm all alone in this house, she said to her husband, no understanding what she's saying. Ryoku then drew her in closer. I know how you feel, my love. When my parents passed away, Grandma Drasna, another hint of Ryokucho's past, took me in, but with her being an Elite 4 member of Kalos, I barely had any time with her, and when I did, she was teaching me what I needed to survive on my own. I know it wasn't the best childhood, But at least I knew that Grandma Drazna had my best interest at heart and made me into the man I am today, and if I know Naruto the way we do, he'll come out of this as a man, he said to her, trying to ease her worry. Kushina then put down the clean plate and rinsed off her hands. When she was done, she turned to her husband, placed her arms over his shoulders and brought his face close to hers, and they shared a hot steamy kiss. They went at it for about 15 minutes before needed to come up for air. They panted for a few minutes before Ryoku broke the silence. Kushi-chan, for 7 years I've been your loving husband, for 10 years I've been the father that Naruto never had, and for 7 years Naruto has been wanting a little brother, so I say, wanna have a go and tame this dragon? He asked in a husky tone, which caused Kushina to feel weak in the knees and very wet in her special place. Oh yes, Ryokoa, I want to tame the dragon if the dragon can tame this horny fox, she said as she nibbled at his left earlobe. Picking her up in a bridal position, he rushed to their room and locked it. Little did the two know that Kushina was ovulating, and with all of Ryokosa's sperm in her womb, it won't be long now before Kushina begins to have the early signs of pregnancy. A week later, Naruto finally arrived to Viridian City after weeks worth of training and adding a few new additions to his family. However, because he already possessed 5 Pokémon, only one was allowed to stay with him and the others were sent to Professor Sarutobi's laboratory. He caught a shiny female Bulbasaur who was abandoned by its trainer, a wild shiny female Spearow, and a wild shiny female Rattata. During his time training on Route 1, he found a lake and managed to fish out a shiny female Magikarp, a shiny female Goldeen, and 2 shiny female Poliwags. After catching all these shiny Pokémon, he then questioned where he got his insane amount of luck, but figures it was the blessing of Ericus, so he thanked the Sinnoh legendary for bestowing with the luck of Chansey and Victini the Unova legendary. In another dimension, an equine-like Pokémon was watching the events unfold on Earth. As it turned its attention to the blonde trainer who thanked it for blessing him with his luck, the god Pokémon then puffed out its chest with pride as it nodded its head, agreeing and accepting the trainer's thanks. As this was going on, several other Pokémon saw this and sweat dropped, thinking the blonde's praise was going into its head, but brushed it off and went back to doing their thing. Even legendary Pokémon can feel prideful with their handiwork. He was making his way to the Pokémon Center after an annoying encounter with a paranoid Officer Jenny. A run-in he'd wished to forget, but still gave him a Psyduck-sized headache. Flashback 30 minutes ago. As Naruto crossed the city gates, he was blindsided by a blue blur and was tackled to the ground and was forced into a position where the assailant's knee was pushing into the center of his back, with one of the assailant's hands was pushing his head down while holding his right arm to where they had it bent. Halt, suspicious person. Identify yourself or I'll place you under arrest, the person said with a strong feminine tone. Naruto then looked back and sees the owner of the voice and the one who tackled him to the ground. The woman is in her early 20s and is wearing a female police uniform. She has cerulean hair and amber eyes, and she was staring down at Naruto angrily. Naruto decided to answer. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Tatsumori, son of Kushina Uzumaki Tatsumori and stepson of Ryoku Tatsumori. I come from the town of Palette, where I started my journey a week ago, where I received my first Pokémon from Professor Hiruzen Sarutobi, he said, causing her to push harder down on him. A likely story claiming to be the son of our champion. How do I know that you're telling the truth? She asked the down trainer. Naruto with his free left hand reached into his left pocket and pulled out a red rectangular object. This Pokédex should prove who I am, he stated as he opened it and accessed his personal file. I'm Dexter, a Pokédex programmed by Professor Sarutobi for Pokémon trainer Naruto Uzumaki Tatsumori of the town of Palette. My function is to provide Naruto with information and advice regarding Pokémon and their training. If lost or stolen, I cannot be replaced, the Pokédex said as it read its contents. Well, are you going to get off of me, or do I have to call my parents to further prove who I am and you can explain to them why you're calling me a liar? The blonde trainer said, getting more agitated. Officer Jenny was sweating bullets as of this point, for she not only caused bodily harm to the champion's stepson, but also threatened him with jail time. She immediately got off him and bowed to him with her forehead touching the ground. I'm sorry, please forgive me, she begged as Naruto got up and brushed himself off. Whatever, was all he said before heading into the city. Flashback over. As he made his way to the Pokémon Center, heard sirens coming from behind him. Oh great, what does she want now? He thought to himself as he turned to the direction of the sirens. As he turned, he then realized two things. 1. The motorcycle was going way too fast for it to stop in front of him, and he'd better get out of the way. As he did, he saw the same officer Jenny from before, but what caught his attention was the passenger, who was a girl no older than him. She wore a black sleeveless shirt while wearing a red vest with white sleeves and white collar. She also wore blue short shorts and red shoes with white laces. Her hair was a long silky black which was kept in a ponytail. She also had reddish black eyes, and on her head was a red cap with the Indigo League logo. Ash's female counterpart is based off of Trainer Red from Gold, Silver and Crystal version. The girl was carrying was a short, chubby rodent Pokémon. It is covered in yellow fur, and its ears are long and pointed with black tips. It has a small mouth, brown eyes, and 2 red circles on its cheeks. Its forearms are short, with 5 fingers on each paw, and its feet have 3 toes. It has 2 brown stripes on its back, and its tail is in the shape of a lightning bolt with a patch of brown fur at the base. This Pokémon was a Pikachu, and it was injured badly. At the sight of the girl carrying her injured Pokémon, he ran in the direction they were heading, which so happens to be the Pokémon Center. As he entered the Pokémon Center, she saw this sight. "What's past is past. Now we have to heal your Pikachu." Joy scolded the red-wearing girl. "What can I do?" the girl asked. Nurse Joy softened her features a little. "Just leave everything to me," she told her in a soft voice. "Be happy you got it here just in time." Joy told them, "That's my job. Oh my goodness, I left my motorcycle parked at the front desk." Jenny said with a nervous chuckle, "Next time use the driveway," Nurse Joy said in a sing-song tone of voice. Then a large pink, ovoid Pokémon appeared wearing a nurse's hat. It has 3 hair-like growths on the sides of its head, tipped with a darker shade of pink. On the center of its belly is a dark pink pouch that contains a single white egg. Its arms are stubby, and it has small, dark pink feet. Additionally, it has a short tail. This Pokémon was a Chansey. Then Naruto pulled out his Pokédex and acquired its data and the Pikachu's data. Chansey, the egg Pokémon. A rare and elusive Pokémon that's said to bring happiness to those who manage to get it. Pikachu, the mouse Pokémon. It can generate electric attacks from the electric pouches located in both of its cheeks. Naruto then approached the girl as Officer Jenny made a quick getaway after catching sight of the blonde-haired boy and not wanting to start an argument about before. As Naruto approached the girl, he immediately recognized her. "Ashley, is that you?" the blonde asked the girl, who then turned to Naruto with tears flowing from her eyes. She then tackled the blonde and cried in his shirt, "Naruto-kun, it's all my fault. Sniff, if I didn't make those Spearow angry, then Pikachu wouldn't be." She couldn't complete her sentence as she cried. Naruto then enveloped her in a gentle hug. "It's okay, it wasn't your fault. All rookie trainers make mistakes when they start out, and it's better we all make mistakes now than when it really matters. That's what my stepfather always says to me," he said, trying to comfort her. Ashley then looked at the blonde and gave a small nodded. You're right, Naruto-kun, it's better now than later," she said, giving a weak smile. After a while, the two ended up sitting on the couch next to a videophone where Ashley made a call to her mother, letting her know that she had made it to Viridian City. After she had called her mother, Naruto had decided to do the same. So he picked up the phone and dialed his home number and waited for a response, which didn't take very long as a beautiful red-haired woman answered the phone. "Hello?" she asked. "Hey mom, it's me," Naruto responded. Kushina then perked up upon hearing her son's voice. "Hey Naru-kun, how are you?" she asked. "I'm doing great. I just made it to Viridian City in one piece, and that Dad's Aerodactyl left as soon as I walked through the city gates," he said to her, causing his mother to giggle. "I know you would. Ryoku Koi ordered it to watch over you until you reached Viridian City, and you know as well as I do that Ryokun's Aerodactyl is more than happy to be assigned to look after you," she said, causing Naruto to nod in agreement as he remembered all the times where Ryoku-san would leave his Aerodactyl to babysit Naruto in his younger years. This also caused Ashley to outburst. "Your dad has an Aerodactyl. I've been to your house a couple times in the past, but I've never seen him with one," she said as she pulled out her Pokédex for any information on Aerodactyl. Aerodactyl, the fossil Pokémon. An ancient flying type, it is equipped with sharp saw-like teeth, suggesting that it was a carnivore. "So cool. Naruto-kun, your dad is so awesome to have an Aerodactyl as a Pokémon. Now I want one." Ashley stated with stars in her eyes as she imaged herself soaring through the sky on the back of an Aerodactyl while Naruto laughed sheepishly at his girlfriend's actions while Kushina giggled at the young girl's reaction. Oh, and I see Ashley Ketchum is there with you. You know, even though you have your fiancés, I still approve of you dating her, Naruto, and as I said before, I want plenty of grandchildren to spoil, but that can wait for another few years. Maybe when you're 18 inches, she said, causing both Naruto and Ashley to mimic the red skin of a magmar. The two yelled at the now laughing redhead. With Ashley still blushing, she responded, I'm okay with him having a harem so long as I get my Naruto time, and with one being a gym leader in Johto, one being the caretaker of the Karasific Valley, one being a frontier brain, the other being the champion of Shino, and the last being a dragon trainer apprentice in Unova. My Naruto time is all the time that is until they decide to visit, and as you said before, we're not ready to, she said shyly as she looked at Naruto and imagined children with blue and black eyes with black hair with yellow streaks causing her to blush even harder. Kushina then stopped laughing and turned to her son with a slightly serious look to her face, which got both Naruto and Ashley's attention. Naruto, your stepfather has already left and is heading your way, she said, causing Naruto and Ashley to look at Kushina. Really, what for? He asked, which then his mother responded, they're on the move. So the Elite Four and Ryoku have been called to deal with the upcoming threat, she stated, causing the two trainers to tense up, with Naruto giving his mother a serious look and Ashley a confused look. I wonder who or what they're talking about, and if Ryoku-sama and the Elite Four are getting involved, then it cannot be good, Ashley thought to herself as she watched the conversation while at the same time still worried about her Pokemon that's in intensive care. Alright mom, I'll keep an eye out for Tucson for when he arrives to Viridian City, the blonde trainer said to his mother. Alright Naru-chan, take care and be sure to call me once to reach Pewter City, and that goes double for you, Ashley, she said with an obvious hint of a warning, which caused the young girl to nod vigorously, which made the redhead woman to giggle before she hung up. Ashley then turned to her boyfriend. Your mother is scary, she said as Naruto nodded his head in agreement. After that, the Pokemon Center got a call and Naruto answered and started to talk to Professor Oak, who then split screen with Professor Sarutobi. You see, both Oak and Sarutobi run two laboratories in their own sections of Pallet Town. Sarutobi ran the south and west sections while Oak ran the north and east sections. When Ashley told him that she saw a Pokemon that flew over the rainbow and she pointed to a picture of it, Professor Oak, who said that it couldn't be possible since trainers have searched their whole lives and haven't seen that Pokemon, while Professor Sarutobi said it must have been a sign of good luck and good fortune to the young female trainer, which Oak agreed to. They then heard a doorbell coming from Oak's side of the screen. Ah, there's my pizza. Coming. It was very nice talking to you, Ashley, Oak said as his side of the screen went dark, causing Sarutobi to sweat drop. The professor then turned to Naruto. Uzumaki-kun, I've received the Pokemon you've caught, and I must say I'm rather impressed of your collection, he said with a grandfather-like smile. Naruto then thanked him for his words of praise. I also heard from Ryoku-san of what happened with you and Sasuke, and for him to demand that you relinquish your Pokemon over to him is a terrible notion on his part, and I hope that you're taking good care for the Pokemon you've won from him, he said, causing Naruto to pull out Mizukum's Pokeball. Don't worry, Sarutobi Gigi, I'll always look after my Pokemon. After all, I am my father's son, she said with a smile that a Gengar would be proud of, and caused the professor to smile. Well then, take care, and I look forward to receiving any more Pokemon you catch, he said as the screen turned black. As this was going on, a large hot air balloon the shape of a Meowth floated over the unsuspecting city. 3 individuals looked over the Pokemon Center with an evil grin, ready to begin their operation. Little did they know they were being watched by a bigger predator in the silhouette of a Charizard carrying its trainer. Meanwhile, back at the Pokemon Center, the two trainers were enjoying each other's company when a carrot-headed girl barraged into the Pokemon Center carrying the charred remains of a bike. Now I've got you, she yelled at Ashley. I knew I'd find you here. Ashley pointed at her. Hey, what happened to your bike? She asked. You happened to my bike. It got electrocuted in that storm. If you hadn't stolen it, this never would have happened, she said, and fell backwards from the weight of the charred bike. Whoa, let me help you, Ashley said as she ran to help, but she smacked her hand away. I don't need or want your help. You're going to pay for what you did to my bike, she said, raising her voice a little. Naruto then got in front of the carrot head while shielding Ashley. Hey, she was only trying to help, and if you want a new bike I can pay for it, he suggested, trying to calm this new girl down. The carrot top then turned her attention to the blonde. I don't want your charity, I want that idiot behind you to pay for my. She was stopped when Naruto released a bit of his aura. Call my girlfriend an idiot again and I'll put you in a full body cast before you can say Kangaskhan. He warned her, but Ashley then intervened. Naruto-kun, it's alright, I did take her bike, so it's my responsibility to pay her back, so please calm down. She asked him, which he did. Ashley then turned to the carrot head as a sad look came to her face. I'll make up for it. I promise I will, really. But I can't do anything about your bike until, she started but was cut off by the carrot head. I don't want any of your lame excuses, kid. I just want a new bike right now, she told her. It's my Pikachu. My Pikachu's not too good. Ashley started and she felt a hand on her shoulder and looked to see Naruto next to her. Oh, is it very serious? The carrot head asked in a small voice. I think so, and there's nothing I can do to help, Ashley said with tons of worry and sadness in her voice. Naruto shook his head. Ashley, things happen that are out of our control all the time. Right now the best thing to do is sit and wait, while Nurse Joy tends to Pikachu. You have no medical knowledge that pertains to Pokémon, so you wouldn't be able to help anyway, and, no offense, but you would only get in the way, thus prolonging Pikachu's stay here, and like I said before, it's better now than when it really matters. All rookie trainers make the same mistakes and it's up to them to learn from them and take it to heart so that it doesn't repeat. He told Ashley, who nodded sadly, but smiled weakly at her boyfriend's words. The medical doors slid open and Nurse Joy, along with the same Chansey from before, walked out while pushing a stretcher with Pikachu on it, wearing a headband with a light bulb attached. After confirming that Pikachu is okay, Ashley and the carrot head got into another argument until the carrot head told Ash to go take care of his Pikachu and that they would settle this later. Okay, Ashley said as she took a step back. Suddenly the alarm went off and Officer Jenny spoke over the intercom. Attention all residents. The Viridian City criminal radar picked up an aircraft belonging to a gang of Pokémon thieves. If you have a Pokémon in your possession, exercise extreme caution, she said. Suddenly 2 Pokeballs fell through the skylight and opened to reveal an Ekans and coughing. The coughing floated around the Pokémon Center while giving off a smokescreen. Who are they? Ashley asked while Naruto tensed at the sight of the new strangers. Don't be frightened, little girl. Allow us to introduce ourselves. To protect the world from devastation, the red-headed girl said. To unite all people within our nation, the periwinkle-haired man said. To denounce the evils of truth and love. To extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Team Rocket, blast off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth, that's right. A random Meowth that apparently talks said. After their introduction, Naruto's expression changed from surprised to venting rage. Team Rocket. The scum of Kanto, he said as he let out a growl. This caused everyone in his group to turn to him. Then Ashley asked, what, this is the group that your father and the Elite Four have been called in to handle? Getting a nod from her blonde boyfriend. Yeah, these guys are an evil organization that are found in Kanto and in some areas of Johto. Their goal is world domination through stealing powerful Pokémon from trainers and forcing wild legendaries into slavery for their twisted ambitions. It's no wonder why my father and the Elite Four have begun to move in response to their activities, he stated, causing the 3 Team Rocket members to look at the blonde trainer. Oh, and just who is your father if he has informed you of us? Jesse asked, with James adding, yes, so that we can properly inform him that he and the Elite Four will fail to stop us, he stated, with Meowth adding, that's right, he said as he crossed his arms over his chest revealing his claws. Naruto then looked behind them, then smiled. Why don't you tell him that yourselves? He said, causing the 3 to look at the blonde in confusion. Then a voice caught their attention. My thoughts exactly, Masuko. Son. The voice said, catching everyone's attention except for Naruto. The voice belonged to an armor-clad Ryoku standing on the back of an abnormally large Charizard. The Kanto champion then jumped off his fire-type Pokémon, then landed in between Naruto and Ashley, which caused the Charizard to land behind its trainer. At this, everyone except for Naruto and Ashley were currently imitating a Magikarp until the orange-haired girl broke the silence. Blondie, your dad is the Kanto champion? She asked him. Naruto then answered, yes, my full name is Naruto Uzumaki Tatsumori. I would have properly introduced myself if the three stooges over there didn't show up, but I guess better late than never, right? He said, pointing at the Team Rocket members who then shot glares at him. Jessie then responded, "Hey blonde twerp, you better show us some respect." She barked only to receive a death glare from the champion and from his Pokémon. Respect is earned, never given, and with you lot being members of an evil organization such as Team Rocket, you and your group doesn't deserve any such luxury. The only thing you'll be getting is a good thrashing and life behind bars with no parole, he announced as his Charizard let out a vicious growl. This caused the three Team Rocket members to back away in fright because the sight of a champion-level Charizard giving them a death glare is enough to put fear into the hearts of even the most battle-hardened trainers. After a few seconds, the three members mustered up some courage. Then the male member announced, "We're here for the Pokémon and we won't until we get them," James told them. Ashley then took a protective stance over Pikachu. "You're not getting Pikachu," she told them as if they actually cared. "Humph, we're not interested for your precious electric rat," Jessie told them. "We seek only rare and valuable Pokémon, like the champion's Pokémon," James announced. Ryoku then took a battle stance. "You make seem like it's the easiest thing in the world, but I have a news flash for you losers. My Pokémon aren't lightweights, and if you want a first-hand demonstration of my Pokémon's power, then you've come to the right place," he said as Charizard stepped forward ready to do battle with his would-be opponents. Then the two Team Rocket members called their Pokémon for battle. "Ekans, I choose you," Jessie announced as she threw her Pokeball. Then James followed after, coughing showtime, he called out as he summoned his Pokémon for battle. The first Pokémon to appear is a purple, serpentine Pokémon. Its eyes, underbelly, stripe, and rattle are yellow. It has 3 pairs of black lines encircling its body, as well as another line that connects each slitted eye and curves toward its nose. Its large mouth has a round, pink tongue and no visible teeth. This Pokémon is an Ekans, which both Naruto and Ashley pulled out their Pokédexes for any information. Ekans, the snake Pokémon. It moves silently and stealthily. It eats the eggs of birds, such as Pidgey and Spearow, whole. The next Pokémon to appear is a spherical Pokémon filled with toxic gases. It has vacant eyes and a wide mouth that usually has 2 pointed teeth in the upper jaw. Below his face is a cream-colored skull and crossbones marking. Several crater-like protrusions, which usually release a yellowish gas, cover this Pokémon's body. Its purple skin is very thin, and overinflation can cause it to explode. This Pokémon is a coughing, and again Naruto and Ashley went to their Pokédexes for any information. Coughing, the poison gas Pokémon. Coughing hovers in the air, thanks to the poisonous gases it contains, which have a foul odor and can explode. Then they turned their attention to the last Pokémon. Meowth is a small, feline Pokémon with cream-colored fur that turns brown at the tips of its hind paws and tail. Its ovoid head features 4 prominent whiskers, wide eyes with slit pupils, 2 pointed teeth in the upper jaw, and a gold oval coin embedded in its forehead. Its ears are black with brown interiors, and are flanked with an additional pair of long whiskers. Meowth is a quadruped with the ability to walk on its hind legs. It can freely manipulate its claws, retracting them when it wants to move silently. The tip of its tail curls tightly, and again the two trainers went to their Pokédexes for information. Meowth, the Scratch Cat Pokémon. Meowth loves to roam at night to gather coins and other objects that sparkle, but it spends most of the daylight hours sleeping. The two trainers put their Pokédexes away as Nurse Joy then stood up straighter. "You're wasting your time. This is a center for weak and injured Pokémon," she informed them. "That may be so, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if we find a few little Pokémon gems among all those injured Pokémon that happen to be junk," Jessie told them. "You're getting on my nerves," Ashley told them while Naruto stepped in front of her as he pulled out a Pokeball. "Ashley, you, Nurse Joy and the Carrot Top go and keep the Pokémon safe while San and myself take care of these clowns," he said in a serious tone, leaving no room for argument. Knowing that Naruto was right on this, Ashley then got in front of Pikachu's stretcher and started pushing it away from the battle with Nurse Joy and the carrot-headed girl in tow. Not before shouting, "My name is Misty, not Carrot Top Blondie," the now identified girl said before leaving with group. With the group gone, Naruto and Ryoku then turned their attention towards the Team Rocket members itching for a fight. "Well, Naruto, shall we get started?" Ryoku said as Naruto then looked at his Pokeball before throwing it, revealing a bipedal, reptilian creature. It has light orange scales and a cream underside. There is a horn-like protrusion on the back of its head, and it has narrow green eyes and a long snout. It has relatively long arms with 3 sharp claws. Its short legs have feet with 3 claws and cream-colored soles. The tip of its long, powerful tail has a powerful white flame with a blue center flame burning on it. This Pokemon was a Charmeleon, and not just any Charmeleon. This was Naruto's first Pokemon finally evolved to its second form. At this, Ryoku couldn't help but marvel at the sight of a powerful Charmeleon, and from the looks of its tail it showed that it had absorbed some of the Mega Stone's residual energy, thus giving its tail flame its white-blue color. Naruto, I see you Charmander has evolved. Congratulations then, Ryoku said while getting ready to fight. Naruto then smiled. Thanks to your super trainer I was able to get most of my Pokemon to evolve before coming here, he stated as Char got ready for battle. At the sight of the shiny Charmeleon, the TR members chuckled evilly. Your rare color Charmeleon will make a handsome gift to the boss, James said to Naruto, who responded with a growl. I'll die before I'll ever let you take Char away from me, he announced, with Char roaring, agreeing with her trainer wholeheartedly. Ryoku nodded, agreeing with his son. Alright, enough talk, time to send these losers packing. Charizard Flamethrower, Ryoku ordered, with Naruto following after. Char Dragon Pulse, he ordered. Both flame Pokemon did as ordered, and long story short, both attacks hit and sent them flying. Looks like Team Rocket's blasting off, they yelled as they flew into the starry sky. As you can see, I didn't use the same scene with Ash beating Team Rocket with Pikachu, but it's still powerful and Team Rocket will still try and steal it, so don't worry all you Generation 1 fans. When the battle, if you can call it that, was over, Ashley and the group came out from hiding only to see father and son giving each other a fist bump. The 2 flame Pokemon doing the same, and a massive scorch mark deeply embedded into the floor of the Pokemon Center, which got Nurse Joy really angry. Then she marched up to the duo and whacked them over the head, leaving them on the floor with a lump on their heads. That was for ruining my clean floor, next time take it outside, she ordered them, causing the 2 flame Pokemon, Ashley, Misty and the now fully healed Pikachu, to sweat drop. Ashley and notices the smaller fire Pokemon, takes out her Pokédex and sees what that Pokemon is. Charmeleon, the flame Pokemon. It has razor-sharp claws and its tail is exceptionally strong. Ashley then commented, so cool, so that must be his first Pokemon, and for him to have a shiny Pokemon as his starter is so lucky, she said, looking at Charmeleon, who was now poking at her trainer, seeing if he's unconscious, with Charizard doing the same. Seeing that their trainer are okay, the 2 fire Pokemon then fell asleep next to their respective trainers, with Ashley, Pikachu and Misty doing the same. The next morning, after Naruto and Ashley registered to the Indigo Plateau League, the group were standing in front of the Pokemon Center with Ryoku looking at the 3 young trainers. Naruto then voiced, "Tusan, you're leaving?" The blonde trainer asked as he watched his stepfather get on the back of his Charizard. I'm afraid I have to, son. Now that I know that Team Rocket has begun to move, I have to inform the Elite Four and the International Police of their most recent activity, he stated, causing the blonde to give him a saddened look. Ryoku, seeing this, decided to voice himself. But if I have free time I'll call you and meet up with you in the town you're in, okay? He said, getting a smile from his stepson. Okay Dad, I'll look forward to it, he said to his stepfather, who gave him a fatherly smile before his Charizard took off. After seeing the champion off, they were informed by Nurse Joy that the Viridian City Gym was under renovations and won't be open for some time, but informed them that Pewter City just beyond the Viridian Forest had its own gym, which perked the 2 trainers eager to win their first badges and take their first steps to becoming Pokemon Masters. As they ventured into the forest, Ashley and Naruto were startled by a scream. Ah! Misty yelled. Misty, what's wrong? Naruto asked, due to not liking how she yelled when his ear was right next to her. She hid behind Ashley. Look, over there, she said while stuttering. Ashley and Naruto looked around and saw 2 serpentine Pokemon that resembles the larva of the spicebush swallowtail. One is a green caterpillar with yellow ring-shaped markings down the sides of its body. The other is a yellowish gold color with orange ring-like shaped markings down the side of its body. They also have large yellow eyes with black pupils. Its most notable characteristic is the bright red antenna on their heads. These and the large eye-shaped markings help to startle predators. Their feet are tipped with suction cups, permitting these Pokemon to scale most surfaces with minimal effort. This Pokemon was a Caterpie. The two trainers then got out their Pokédex for any information on the cute little bug Pokemon. Caterpie, the worm Pokemon. To repel enemies, Caterpie releases an unpleasant odor from its red antenna. It molts several times while growing. Ashley then made herself known. "Oh, cool, it's a Caterpie. It's one of the bug Pokemon," she said. Misty hid behind her even more. "Even if it is a bug Pokemon, bugs are disgusting. I don't like them. Do something," she pleaded to both Naruto and Ashley, who looked at her with a disgusted face. "And she's a Pokemon trainer, why?" They mentally asked themselves before turning to the two bug Pokemon. Naruto, not wasting any time, he threw a teal Pokeball with a net pattern, AN. Netball, at the orange-colored Caterpie, while Ashley, not wanting to be left behind, threw a Pokeball at the green-colored one. Both balls hit their intended marks, pulled the Pokemon in closed, then struggled. Once, twice, thrice, then the familiar ding was heard from both Pokeballs. While Ashley and Pikachu were doing the "I caught a Pokemon" pose, AN. We all know the one. Naruto's Pokeball started to glow white before disappearing. With that done, Naruto then looked at Ashley, then made himself known. "Ashley, this is where we part ways for now," he said, causing her to stop and look at Naruto with a saddened look. "You're leaving?" she asked. Naruto then nodded. "But only for a short time. I'll see you again in Pewter City, and if you catch 2 more Pokemon while you're here in the Viridian Forest, I'll take you out on a date. But only if you catch 2 more Pokemon," he stated, which caused her to hug and kiss her boyfriend. "Don't worry, Naru-kun, I'll have 4 Pokemon before you know it," she stated, giving him an award-winning smile. Naruto then chuckled a bit, then broke off from their hug. "I'll hold you to it," he said before racing off into the forest. After leaving his girlfriend and her little group, Naruto ventured deeper into the Viridian Forest to train and catch new Pokemon. It's been little over an hour since he left Ashley and company when Naruto finds a clearing in the middle of the forest, which he decides to train for an entire week before meeting up with Ashley in Pewter City. As he approached the center of the clearing, he then notices 2 oval-shaped objects, and as he got closer he then realized that they were Pokemon eggs. One of them was black, with the bottom being a darker shade of black and the top having a red pattern and red spots going around the top half. The second egg has a green top half with 2 pink oval-shaped spots and the bottom half being all white. He then looks around to see where the parents were to leave the eggs unattended as he stood in the middle of the clearing with the eggs at his feet. Naruto, having a better look at the clearing from where he stood, he then noticed shallow indentations in the ground, and as he kneeled down to investigate one of the closer indentations, he then notices something on the ground and picks it up for closer examination. "Egg fragment," was all he said to understand where he was, and the purple color of the eggs made it all the more clear where he was. He was in the middle of an Ekans nesting ground, and the 2 eggs that were present were stolen from their parents and brought here to be fed upon later, an unusual behavior for the snake Pokemon, considering that they'll eat the eggs right on the spot instead of making off with it. Wanting to find out, Naruto then snatches the eggs and replaced them with duplicates. He then ran to the nearest tree, climbed it, and hid, waiting for the Pokemon who owned this part of the forest to return, in which he didn't have to wait too long, because after 20 or so minutes the ground came to life as dozens upon dozens of Ekans began to make their way to the clearing, and among them was another snake-like Pokemon that made Naruto a bit concerned. It was a serpentine Pokemon with purple scales over most of its body. It has a large hood just below its head. On its hood, it has a design much like an angry face. The pattern typically has red and yellow eye spot outlined in black, a wide black streak resembling a mouth, and a V-shaped stripe about the face pattern. The Pokemon was an Arbok. Naruto, having never seen one in the wild, he pulled out the Pokédex for any information. Arbok, the Cobra Pokemon. The evolved form of Ekans. It is rumored that the ferocious warning markings on its belly differ from area to area. Naruto, gazing upon the larger snake Pokemon, noticed that it was carrying an egg coiled up at the end of its tail. The egg had a light purple top half and baby blue's bottom half with white diamond pattern and a baby blue hexagon crest. Naruto, not wanting to see the egg being devoured, decided to take immediate action. "Omi, I choose you," he called out as he threw his Master Ball and summoned his shiny Mew. This action caught the attention of all the wild Pokemon that were present, who then gave the blonde trainer a violent hiss. Naruto then issued his command. "Omi, use Psychic on the snake Pokemon right now." He commanded his little psychic Pokémon, who then started to glow bright blue, in which the poison Pokémon started to glow too and began to levitate due to Mew's psychic attack. Then Naruto pulled out a magenta Pokémon with a pink heart with a white outline and a white oval spot in the center. An. Love Ball, Shido, Seed, I choose you. He cried out as he threw the pink Pokémon to summon his Pokémon. The Pokémon that was summoned is a dinosaur-like, quadruped Pokémon. It has light green skin with darker patches. 2 pointed teeth protrude from its upper jaw, and it has narrow light red eyes. Each of its feet has 3 claws on them. The bulb on its back has bloomed into a large orange peach bud supported by a short brown trunk surrounded by leafy yellow-green fronds. This Pokémon is a female shiny Ivysaur, a Pokémon he acquired the week before entering Viridian City when it was a Bulbasaur. Flashback: Naruto was traveling through Route 1 in search of a new training ground since the last one was totally destroyed. As he trekked through the tall grass, he then heard yelling, "You useless pathetic piece of trash, I can't believe I got paired with such a weakling," the boy said as he kicked the down Bulbasaur. Naruto, after seeing enough of the boy's cruelty, he then tackled the boy and got in front of the injured Pokémon to protect it from its horrid trainer. "Hey, what the fuck is your problem?" Naruto yelled at the boy. The abusive trainer got up and glared at the blonde. "That pathetic Pokémon behind you is so useless that it can't even win a battle against a Pidgey," he said, causing the injured Bulbasaur to flinch at its trainer's statement. This action, however, didn't go unnoticed by Naruto, who by now was furious. "Just because of one battle you decide it was okay to punish your Pokémon the way you did. It's unforgivable," he said with a growl, causing the trainer to slightly back away from the blonde. The boy then took out a Pokeball, clicked the center, and the down Bulbasaur glowed a bright blue, then the light disappeared. "I released that useless Pokémon. If you want to take it, I'll just find a better one," he said as he turned around and left. Naruto shot him one last glare before tending to the wounded Bulbasaur. The Pokémon is a small, quadruped Pokémon with green or light green skin and dark patches. Its thick legs each end with 3 sharp claws. Its eyes have magenta irises, while the sclera and pupils are white. Bulbasaur has a pair of small, pointed teeth visible when its mouth is open. It has a bulb on its back, grown from a seed planted there at birth. Naruto pulled out his Pokédex for more information. Bulbasaur, the seed Pokémon. A young Bulbasaur uses the nutrients from its seed for the energy it needs to grow. After putting his Pokédex away, Naruto kneed to the down Bulbasaur and patted head, which caused it to flinch, and Naruto couldn't blame it. This was just like what happened with Sasuke and Mizukame, only Sasuke just straight up abandoned his Pokémon, not physically abused it. Naruto pulled of his backpack, pulled out a full restore and used it to heal the injured Bulbasaur, who was now crying for being abandoned the way it did, and Naruto, seeing this, felt nothing but pity that this poor little Pokémon had to go through an ordeal such as that. After healing the Bulbasaur, Naruto put on his backpack, but not before leaving some fruit for the Pokémon to eat in case it got hungry. As he started to leave, he felt something grab him to stop him from leaving. He turned to see a long vine wrapped around his wrist, and it was connected to the Bulbasaur, who looked at him with a pleading look as if to say, "Please don't abandon me." Naruto, in feeling guilty about almost leaving the poor thing, thought about it and came with a good idea. He got out his backpack, opened it and pulled out a box, opened it, then pulled out a small pink Pokeball, activated it, showed it to the Bulbasaur. "Hey, wanna come along with me?" he asked the Bulbasaur, who gave her answer by tackling him to the ground, crying and finding someone who wanted her. Flashback over: after a short trip down memory, Naruto took immediate action. Shido used Vine Whip to grab the egg in the Arbok's coils. He ordered his Pokémon, which she complied to do so. Shido then launched 4 whip-like vines at the airborne Arbok and grabbed the egg and gave it to her trainer. "Good job, Shido, I knew I can count on you," he said, praising his grass Pokémon, which caused her to puff out her chest with pride. Naruto, chuckling at his Pokémon's action, put the egg away and pulled out several Pokéballs and nest balls and threw them at the immobile Pokémon, catching all 20 snake Pokémon, 19 Ekans and 1 Arbok. Naruto, in realizing what he just did, hoped that it wouldn't bite him in the ass later. Meanwhile, at Professor Sarutobi's laboratory, Sarutobi was enjoying his afternoon tea while reading one of his students' prized works. Yes, Icha does exist in this world. While giggling like a previous as he read the book, he then heard the sound of a Pokeball appearing at the receiver in his lab. "Must be Naruto again. I swear that boy has some lousy timing," he said as he put a bookmark where he stopped reading so that when done he can get back to his reading. As he entered the lab, he then notices a pile of 20 balls on the transport mat. My word, did that boy go to the safari zone or something? He yelled as he went to the pile and picked up one random Pokeball, which set off a chain reaction causing all the balls to fall to the floor, thus releasing the contained Pokemon, which were 19 Ekans. Sarutobi, not believing in what he saw, he dropped the Pokeball to the floor, thus releasing the Pokemon inside, which was a rather large Arbok. At this sight, there was only one thing that Sarutobi could do: scream like a little schoolgirl, KKYO, which could be heard all throughout the little quiet town of Pallet. Back to our main hero. Naruto felt a sudden chill going down his spine. I sense a disturbance in the force. An. Couldn't resist, he said quietly to himself as he got down the tree thanks to Shido, while she used her vines as a harness to help him down the tree. Naruto, now safely on the ground, called the rest of his party, which consists of Charlotte the shiny Charmeleon, Setsuna the shiny Dratini, Omi the shiny Mew, Shido the shiny Ivysaur, Mizukame the now evolved Wartortle, and finally Hane the newly evolved shiny Pidgeotto. Okay gang, starting today we'll be using this place as our personal training area for the entire week, so while I set up camp, want all of you to find firewood and any edible fruits and berries, he said as his Pokemon began doing their marching orders. 1 week later, Naruto finally arriving to Pewter City, he was in a very cheery mood. Reason for it: within the week the eggs hatched, one was a shiny femme. Ralts, who had a shy personality which he found pretty cute, a tomboyish femme. Zorua, who was a stubborn nature like him so he can relate, and to his surprise a very clingy Suicune pup who pretty much never leaves his side. The day they hatched it was a wonder occasion, but then came every human male's worst nightmare, parenthood. For the pasted 7 days all he ever heard was crying all night, so he barely got any sleep, and the same could be said for his other Pokemon, who can't blame the baby Pokemon, but could glare at Papa Naruto. So after a week they pretty much calmed down and were eager to train after seeing the older Pokemon practice their skills. Naruto, being the parent, decided to hold off on their training for about a month, in which 2 of the 3 Pokemon agreed, but the Zorua just huffed, but agreed nonetheless. Naruto also used his portable transfer device to switch Pokemon from Sarutobi's Pokemon laboratory, but he got a lecture first from the pissed professor, but agreed to transfer any Pokemon he needed. He trained his Spearow, Rattata, Magikarp, Goldeen, his 2 Poliwags and his newly caught Caterpie, and one of the Ekans, the shiny one for now. He trained them all until they were at a good level or have evolved, in which case his Caterpie went through its entire evolution from Metapod to Butterfree in just 2 days of its training. Naruto also managed to evolve his Rattata into Eradicate, his Spearow into a Fearow, his Ekans into an Arbok, and a newly caught Weedle into a Beedrill. He even managed to evolve his Magikarp into the more powerful Gyarados thanks to the supply of rare candies he had, but seldomly used them. He got his older Pokemon to a good enough level to tackle the Pewter City gym, which from what his father told him was a rock-type Pokemon gym, so grass and water types would be good to have on hand, but he also had to keep the newly born Pokemon. Naruto made his way to the Pokemon Center, and as he did he heard a voice he was hoping to never hear. "Hey look, it's the Dobby," the voice said, which caused Naruto to turn only to see Kiba Inuzuka with his friend Shino Aburame and girlfriend Hinata Hyuga. Naruto then retorted, "Oh look, it's Dog Breathe, find any good trees to mark your turf with?" he asked, which caused Hinata to giggle, Shino to give a little chuckle, and Kiba to growl. "Shut it, Dobby, and why are you here anyways? Finally decided to run away from home because you didn't get your first Pokemon," he said, getting a snarl from Naruto and glares from his 2 companions. Naruto then responded, "No flea brain, I here to challenge the Pewter City gym leader and to join up with Ashley. She called me the other day saying that she'll be staying at the Pokemon Center," he said, wanting to get away from Kiba and meet up with Ash. Hearing about Ashley Ketchum being here perked up Hinata. "Ashley-san is here?" the Hyuga asked, getting a nodded from the blonde trainer. Feeling ignored, Kiba finally snapped, "That's it, loser, I challenge you to a battle right now," he yelled, getting not only his group's attention, but the attention of everyone within earshot of his declaration. Naruto then sighed, "Very well, Dog Breathe, so what are the rules?" he asked Shino, making him ref. "For this battle, this will be a one-on-one Pokemon battle, with each trainer using 1 Pokemon. The winner will be determined when the trainer's Pokemon are unable to battle. Are both trainers ready?" Naruto and Kiba both nodded. "Then let the battle begin." Growlithe, let's show this loser. Kiba shouted, releasing his first Pokemon, a Growlithe that was a little bigger than average. Naruto, seeing the Pokemon, pulled out his Pokédex for more information. Growlithe, the puppy Pokemon. Growlithe has a superb sense of smell. Once it smells anything, this Pokemon won't forget the scent, no matter what. It uses its advanced olfactory sense to determine the emotions of other living things. Naruto smiled in seeing this. Okay then, review. Iasen, I choose you. He cried out as he summoned his Pokemon. The Pokemon to come out was a serpentine Chinese dragon-like Pokemon. It is mostly red, with a yellow underbelly and yellow spots along its body. It has a three-pointed, dark red crest on its head and 4 white fins down its back. Its mouth is very large and gaping, bearing 4 canine teeth. It has 1 barbell on each side of its face. The Pokemon was a shiny Gyarados, and it was staring at its opponent with the anger of 1,000 angry mothers. Kiba shakily pulled out his Pokédex for information on the monster in front of him. Gyarados, the atrocious Pokemon. The evolved form of Magikarp. This Pokemon has a vicious temperament, so use extreme caution. Its fangs can crush stones and its scales are harder than steel. The larger Pokemon then turned to its trainer, lowered its head and gave him a lick and snuggled into him. Ah, is Raivu-chan happy to see me? Naruto asked, and getting a deep bellow as confirmation to his question. This action caused everyone's eyes to pop out of their heads and their mouths to drop to the floor. This Pokemon that has the nastiest reputation of actually killing their trainers was being coddled by its trainer like a Meowth kitten. Right now both Kiba and Growlithe are thinking whether or not to just run the fuck away and forget this whole thing, but 2 things stopped him. 1. He issued the challenge, and 2. Naruto was staring at him. So are you ready, or are you going to just stand there and... You know what, I'll just end this right now. Raivu, use Water Pulse, he commanded, and his Gyarados did a complete 180 from purring at her master touch to growling at the puppy, who was now standing in a puddle of its own urine. Gyarados then started to gather energy in its mouth, then shot a ball of water at the pup, literally one-hit it. From that day onward, Kiba learned a very important life lesson. Don't fuck with Naruto Utatsumori. Silence was all there was. Silence has taken over the battlefield. The blonde train had just one-shot his rival's Pokemon. How, you may ask? Well, Naruto had kindly asked his Gyarados to use a superpowered water pulse on a trainer-level Growlithe pup with no sign of showing any mercy. Naruto called back his Pokemon and trekked his way to the Pokemon Center, with everyone moving out of his way, giving him fearful eyes. The only ones who didn't look at him in fear, but in awe, were Ashley, who joined the crowd to see her boyfriend do battle. Hinata, who looked at him as if to wonder how he managed to train such a powerful Pokemon in only a short amount of time, and Shino, who was surprised at how much Naruto has improved, considering the fact that the blonde trainer had big shoes to fill, knowing that Naruto's stepfather was the current champion of Kanto and his mother, although retired, was a world-renowned Pokemon ranger. Looking at the retreating blonde, the bug trainer saw that his female companion left and was later joined by a red-wearing girl who he knew was a trainer from Oak's side of Pallet Town. He turned to his shocked friend, pulled out Growlithe's Pokeball from Kiba's belt, withdrew the down pup into its Pokeball, and dragged Kiba to the center to get his Pokemon healed. 30 minutes later, Naruto was leaving the Pokemon Center with Ashley wrapped around his right arm and Hinata wrapped around his left arm. Of course, you may ask why. Well, let's go to Ashley's reason. Flashback as Naruto waited for Nurse Joy to finish healing his Pokemon. Ashley approached the blonde trainer with a Cheshire Cat-like grin. Hey Naruto-kun, I did it, she said to him, getting a confused look from her blonde boyfriend. Did what? He asked. Ashley then pulled out 4 Pokeballs and summoned all of her Pokemon. The first was a male Butterfree, which he can guess is her fully evolved Caterpie, a male Pidgeotto, a female Beedrill, and an angry-looking Spearow with a scar over its left eye. These 4 Pokemon plus her starter Pokemon made her team count up to 5. Then Naruto remembered what he told her before parting ways. Mini flashback. Ashley, this is where we part ways for now, he said, causing her to stop and look at Naruto with a saddened look. You're leaving? She asked. Naruto then nodded. But only for a short time. I'll see you again in Pewter City, and if you catch 2 more Pokemon while you're here in the Viridian Forest, I'll take you out on a date. But only if you catch 2 more Pokemon, he stated, which caused her to hug and kiss her boyfriend. Don't worry Naruto-kun, I'll have 4 Pokemon before you know it, she stated, giving him an award-winning smile. Naruto then chuckled a bit, then broke off from their hug. "I'll hold you, Jid," he said before racing off into the forest. Mini flashback over. "I see you kept your end of our little arrangement. Very good," he said to her, getting a good look at her Pokémon. Ashley then puffed out her low C-cup-breasted chest as she soaked in his praise. She then told her story about her catches from her Caterpie's entire evolution to catching a Pidgeotto and a Beedrill. Pokémon Indigo Series Episode 4. Also, Ash was a dumbass for not taking advantage of the situation and catch a Beedrill right then and there, to the angry-looking Spearow, who she said was the same Spearow that she pissed off at the beginning of her journey. Pokémon Indigo Series Episode 1. That followed her for revenge, but ended up catching it in hopes of earning its trust. Naruto accepted her stories and looked at her team and noticed that her team was completely off balance: 1 electric type, 2 flying types, and 2 bug types. 1 was a bug, poison, and 1 bug, flying, so he helped her by giving her advice on what Pokemon to keep and which to send to Oak for safekeeping. So Ashley sent her Beedrill and Spearow to Oak and kept the Pidgeotto and Butterfree and gave her Pokemon a few moves from his TM set to help with her battle against the gym leader. So he ended up teaching her Butterfree, Psychic, her Pidgeotto, Steel Wing, and her Pikachu, Brick Break, and a few rare candies, HP ups, proteins, irons, carbos, zincs, and calcium to help give her Pokemon a better chance. With her Pokemon ready for combat, she latched onto her boyfriend's arm and dragged him to the gym. End of flashback. Now that Ashley's reason for hanging off our blonde hero is out of the way, now we turn to Hinata and her reason. Quite simple. She and Naruto were childhood friends along with Ashley and Serena, and the 3 girls all promised to be his wife one day. As he was dragged by his girlfriends to the Pewter City gym, Kiba and Shino followed right behind the blonde and his babes, Kiba with a look of jealousy and Shino with a neutral look. They approached the gym, and Naruto, finally breaking away from his girls' loving embrace, opened the doors to the gym and stepped right in. "Hello, my name is Naruto Uzumaki, and I'm here to challenge the gym leader to a battle," Naruto called out as he entered the gym, which was dark. "Very well, I'll accept your challenge." A light appeared over a teen a little older than him with brown hair. He was wearing a pair of brown jeans, an orange shirt, and a green vest. "My name is Brock, and I'm the leader of the Pewter City Gym." With a snap of his fingers, the lights of the gym flashed on to reveal a large field littered with boulders and rocks of all sizes. "In this battle, we will each use 2 Pokemon. The winner will be determined when both of one trainer's Pokemon are unable to battle, and only the challenger will be allowed to substitute Pokemon during the match," Brock said, getting a nod from Naruto as they both stepped into the trainer's box on each side of the field. "All right, let's begin. Geodude, I choose you." Brock released a large Geodude. Naruto then got out his Pokédex for more information. Geodude, the rock Pokemon. Found in fields and mountains, people often mistake them for boulders and step or trip on them. Naruto smirked as he closed his Pokédex, grabbing a Pokeball. "All right then, my turn. Mizukame, let's dance around them," he said, calling out his water type. When the Wartortle landed in the battlefield, the gym leader looked a bit nervous, and for good reason. His rock-type Geodude was at a huge disadvantage against a water-type like Wartortle. Your Wartortle looks well raised, but let's see if it can handle actual combat. Geodude, use Tackle." Naruto narrowed his eyes as the rock Pokemon rushed at Wartortle. "You shouldn't underestimate me or my Pokemon. Now Mizukame, use Water Pulse." Naruto's Wartortle wasted no time as it gathered energy in the form of a heavily concentrated water ball and shot it at the charging Geodude. Before the gym leader could react, the attack was launched and hit the rock-type dead center, thus sending it flying straight at the wall, being Brock with swirls in its eyes signaling that it was done for the count. "Geodude is unable to battle. The winner of the first match is Mizukame," Shino said, acting as judge. "You may have beaten my Geodude, but don't think you can beat my last Pokemon. Onix, go." Brock called, releasing an Onix, which gave a mighty roar and made Pikachu hide behind its trainer. Naruto then took out his Pokédex for any information on the large snake-like Pokemon in front of him. Onix, the rock snake Pokemon. It tunnels through the ground, which shakes when it raises its thunderous roar. It can move the ground at 50 miles per hour. Putting away his Pokédex, Naruto called back his Wartortle and pulled out a netball and gave a wicked fox-like grin. "I'll match your giant with one of my own Review. Iason, I choose you," he said as he sent his ball into the air and summoned his Pokemon. When the Pokémon was summoned, Kiba wanted to hide from the sheer sight of the large red Gyarados, and Misty stiffed upon the mere sight of such a vicious beast. Both Gym Leader and Pokémon were utterly terrified at the sight of this Pokémon and were wondering just what like of trainer is this blonde to have a pseudo-legendary as a party member. The Gyarados then looked at its trainer ready to obey his command, and Naruto merely nodded in acknowledgement in the Pokémon's overall readiness. "Ready whenever you are, Brock," Naruto said, getting the Gym Leader's attention. "Let's start this of right. Review, Iason, use Hyper Beam." Gyarados gathered a mass of multicolored energy in its mouth before firing a beam of heavily concentrated energy at the Rock Snake Pokémon. Onix, dodge it, then use Dig. The giant Pokémon barely dodged the Hyper Beam before it burrowed into the ground, but not before the attack left its trail of destruction, which pretty much blown a hole to the back wall. Everyone seeing the destruction were imitating a Magikarp at this point, and Naruto was laughing nervously. "Maybe we should work on controlling your power output, huh, Review?" he asked his Gyarados while everyone else yelled, "Nah, ya think?" "Okay, jokes aside, Review, wait until the last minute and dodge, then use Water Pulse." Review nodded as she loomed over the field waiting for the recharge effect to wear off, before suddenly dodging right as Onix shot out of the ground. With her target in sight, Review started to gather water in her mouth and launched the water ball at the Onix, hitting it in the face and sending it to the ground with swirls in its eyes. Onix is unable to battle. The winner of the second battle is Gyarados, and the match goes to the challenger Naruto Uzumaki of Pallet Town, Shino said with a small smirk. He was really impressed by Naruto's skills and couldn't wait for the day he could match his blonde rival. "Congratulations, Naruto. That was a great battle, even though it was kind of one-sided." The challenger and Pokémon both turned to see Brock standing there with a smile while holding out a Boulder badge. "As the leader of the Pewter City Gym, I hereby present you with the Boulder badge. You earned it." Naruto smiled as he took the badge, placing it inside a small black case. "Thanks a lot, Brock." With a nod of his head, Naruto then turned to Ashley. "All right, Ashley, it's your turn," he said as she jumped over the banners and stood where Naruto once stood and battled the gym leader after Naruto healed his Pokémon. The battle was won with her Pidgeotto using Steel Wing on Geodude and her Pikachu using Brick Break on Onix. It was the closet match that both Brock and Ashley had ever had, but Ashley came out victorious with her first badge and her first official step to her ultimate dream of being the great Pokémon Master. After winning, the two headed to the Pokémon Center to call home of their recent battle with the gym leader and the earning of their first badges. When Naruto spoke to his mother, he got the surprise of his life. Video phone conversation. Naruto: "Hi mom, guess what?" Kushina: "Hi son, guess what?" Naruto: "No, you first, Kushina." "Okay son, what is it?" Naruto showed his mother his badge case with his first badge. "I've won my first badge." Kushina: "That great honey, I'm so proud of you, and now it's your turn." Naruto: "What is it mom?" Kushina: "You're going to be a big brother." Naruto: "What?" Kushina: "I'm pregnant." Naruto and everyone with him: "What?" Naruto passed out and Ashley plus Hinata were freaking out, seeing if he was alright 30 seconds later. Naruto: Are you sure?" Kushina: "Of course I'm sure, it's my own body after all son, and to tell you the truth, I haven't told Ryokoi yet, so you and your friends are the first to know of this." Naruto: "Well, you better tell him, cause he's the son of my future brother, and also I would love to see the look on his face when you tell him." Kushina: "I will, and please don't forget to call me when you get to Cerulean City, okay?" Naruto: "Okay mom, love you, bye." Kushina: "Love you too baby, hang up." End of conversation. Meanwhile, wherever Ryoku is, here we find the champion high above the clouds when he gets a phone call. He picks up the phone and sees that it's his wife on the other line. "I wonder what's up," he thinks to himself as he answers the phone. "Hey Kushi-chan, what's going on?" he asks. "Oh Ryo-kun, I have the most wonderful news," she says, getting his attention. "Oh, and what might that be?" he asks. And that's when she dropped the bomb. "I'm pregnant," she says. Upon hearing those words, Ryoku just froze with his Charizard looking at him with worry. Ryoku then asked, "What was that?" he questioned, hoping he wasn't hearing wrong. "I said I'm pregnant, aren't you excited?" she questioned her husband. Ryoku then did what any man would do in this situation. He fainted. Not the best place to faint, but with his trust Charizard, when he saw his trainer about to pass out, it did the smart thing, landed in a clearing not too far from Cerulean City and waited for his trainer to come to. But instead of waiting, he did the next best thing. Set his trainer on fire, and surely enough, it worked a little too well. Ryoku was running around in circles in a comedic fashion and rolling the ground until the fire was out. He looked to his Charizard as it was laughing its ass off at seeing his trainer distress. Ryoku then called back to his wife. "Hello, Kushina. Sorry I kind of fainted when you told me the news, and to answer your question, what Ryo-kun?" she asked. "Yes, I am excited to hear about this wonderful news." After finishing his conversation with his wife, Ryoku then got back on his Charizard and flew off. Little did he know that his campaign against the ever-growing threat that is Team Rocket just got a whole lot more complicated, with them gaining 3 new members into their fold. A week later, a week has gone by since Naruto and friends left Pewter City. A week has passed since both Naruto and Ashley won their match and have won their very first badge. Now both Naruto and Ashley, after making their way through Mt. Moon, where along the way have caught several new Pokémon. Naruto managed to catch Paris, Zubat, Clefairy, and Geodude, both Nidoran and Nidoran. Ashley only caught a Nidoran, while Shino caught a Paris and Hinata caught a Clefairy. Kiba caught a Nidoran and Brock caught a Zubat. Along the way they meet up with very annoying scientist named Seymour, who was studying the effects of the Moonstone and the Pokémon that protected the Clefairy. They also had a run-in with Team Rocket, who in Naruto's case was the most annoying human beings on the planet and was debating on whether or not to have Charlotte, Charmeleon, to roast them alive, and then spread their ashes to the wind. Seriously, no one would miss them. However, he didn't expect to see Sasuke and Sakura again, but only this time they were wearing black Team Rocket uniforms. Flashback: after several hours of trekking through the cave, Naruto and his group along with Seymour came to an opening in the cave and found a group of Clefairy jumping around a large chunk of space rock called the Moonstone. When they figured out why the Clefairy were gathered around the Moonstone, Seymour ranted on about how both Pokemon and humans will ride the Moonstone into space. This got him electrocuted via Ashley asking Pikachu to shut him up, much to the relief of her boyfriend and her friends, because if she didn't do it, then Naruto would have asked Charlotte to do it and that would count as murder. Then they heard a noise that grated their nerves. "Stars, that's our cue," the voice said. The group then turned around and saw the group that they'd hoped to never see. Naruto then stepped forward. "You guys don't know when to quit," he said as Ashley, Hinata and Misty stuck their tongues out at them. Seymour, having recovered after a Pika shock, got in front of the group with his arms out. "You keep away from the Moonstone or else," he demanded. Team Rocket just stood there and gave the group a mocking response. "Or else," James said. "I think we're being threatened," Jesse said, give the group a sinister grin. Seymour then cowered from the fact that the Team Rocket group didn't flinch as his warning. "The Moonstone belongs to the Clefairy, not to you troublemakers. I'll leave this cave at once," he said as he trembled in fear. James then asked, "What is that unusual sound?" "His knees are shaking," Jesse answered. "Sounds like a wimp," Meowth added, with Naruto and his group kind of agreeing with the talking Pokemon. Naruto, finally having enough of this and thinking that scientist might soil himself, stepped forward. "As much as I like watching this wimpy nerd tremble in fear of the Three Stooges, I'm gonna have to step in," he said as he moved in front of Seymour. This action got the attention of the Team Rocket members. Naruto then crossed his arms and glared at them. "If you don't want a repeat of what happened in Viridian City, then I suggest you hightail it out of here," he said, giving them his stepfather's trademark glare. This action made them nervous, but were stopped when they heard someone talk. "Seriously, you three are afraid of this loser?" the voice asked. Then another voice soon followed. "Yeah, that loser is nowhere near our level," came a screech-like voice that grated everyone in the room. Naruto looked at the direction of where the voice was coming from, only to see the two people he hated more than Team Rocket. Only this time his hatred skyrocketed. "Well, if it isn't Pallet Town Emo King and Banshee Reject," he said with enough venom in his voice that make any poison Pokemon proud. The group then took a closer look, and those of Pallet Town were on guard at the new threat, while Misty, Brock and Seymour were lost in what was going on. Standing in front of them was a boy has onyx black eyes and hair with a blue tint to it. His hair is spiky in the back, and he has chin-length bangs that parted down to frame both sides of his face. He also wore a black Team Rocket uniform with his clan symbol on his back. The other was a girl with long pink hair and green eyes. She also wore a black Team Rocket female uniform. These two were Sasuke Uchiha and Sakura Haruno, the Bane of Pallid Town, as they were called by their peers. Naruto was the first to respond. Sasuke, I never thought you'd sink this low all for your sick desire for power, Naruto said with disgust. Sasuke then scoffed at the young blonde's remark. You're just jealous that I now have the power to defeat the champion of Kanto, he said with every bit of arrogance. This made everyone excluding Sakura look at the Uchiha as if he'd lost it. From the white-wearing Team Rocket members, Jessie was the first to ask, who the heck are you twerps and why are you wearing Team Rocket uniforms? Sakura then stated, then why don't you allow us to introduce ourselves, she said. Everyone in Naruto's group although, please not that. Prepare for trouble, Sakura said. Hey, make it double, Sasuke said. To protect the world from devastation, Sakura said. To unite all people within our nation, Sasuke said. To denounce the means of truth and love, Sakura said. To extend our reaches to the stars above, Sasuke said. Sakura Haruno, she announced. Sasuke, Uchiha, he announced. Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light, Sakura said. Surrender now or prepare to fight, Sasuke said. Nidoran, a pair of Nidoran said. At this Naruto's eyebrow was twitching like crazy. Hinata and company were downright confused as to what they just saw and Ashley's group were wondering if this is going to be a reoccurrence. Naruto then took a deep breath. Can you all please excuse me for a quick sec? He said as he walked past the two other Team Rocket members giving them a confused looks. They looked at Ashley's group and shrugged as to say, your guess is as good as mine. Then after 5 minutes of silence they heard it. Back at the Moonstone as they heard the scream, Jessie turned to James. James, do you hear that? She asked. I feel that, was his response. Meanwhile in Viridian City. We find a man in a brown business suit doing paperwork with a Persian at his side. Then he heard this strange noise. What the devil is that noise? He asked as he looked out the window. Meanwhile with Ryoku Ryoku having sat down next to a vending machine getting ready to take a break, and as he did he heard this strange noise. Now time for a delicious sports. What the heck is that? He asked as he looked up into the sky. Meanwhile in God Realm, Here we find Arceus as she judges the souls of her fallen children. As she did too heard the noise. Hell, purgatory, Giratina. Giratina, what is that noise? Oh me, is that Mew? Leave me alone, you already took the kids, what more do you want? She yelled, making Giratina, Palkia and Dialga to sweat drop as their god raged about something stupid, again. In the future, Here we find a girl that looks like Ashley Ketchum, but with blonde streaks in her black hair and blue eyes. Okay mom, I'm off on my journey and I promise to make both you and Da, she was saying as she then heard the noise. D-daddy, was all she said. An. If you get the reference then you win a jar of cyber cookies. After about 5 minutes of yelling, Naruto comes back into the room with the Moonstone. Ashley was the first to ask, Naruto, are you okay? She asked with a concerned look to her face. Naruto looked at her and smiled. Yeah, just needed that, he said, reassuring her that he was okay. With that said and done, he then turned his attention to the Team Rocket members. Okay, I'm going to guess and say that you're here for more than just our Pokémon, he said, getting a nod from the senior TR members. Naruto, in having all that he needed, pulled out a netball. Okay then, Review. Iasen, I choose you. He cried out as he summoned his Gyarados to his side. When his red Gyarados was summoned, it let out a mighty roar that frightened everyone in the room. But that's to be expected when a Pokemon that's notorious for its rage is mere feet from you. The rare-colored Gyarados glared at her would-be opponents as if it waited for them to make the first move. The 4 Team Rocket members backed up at first, but their greed and desire to steal the powerful water type outweighed their instinct to run. My, what a rare and powerful Pokemon you have there, Jessie said, getting out her Pokeball. James did the same action as Jessie. It'll make a handsome gift to the boss, he said. Naruto glared at them. Review will kill you and your boss before she ever becomes your slave, he said, causing the large water type to growl as if agreeing with her trainer. Sasuke and Sakura then decided to join in the fight. Not if I claim it for myself, he said arrogantly, with Sakura fanning his already overinflated ego. Ashley then decided to join in with her boyfriend. We'll see about that. Pikachu, go, she commanded, with her Pokemon complying. Then Brock, feeling left out, decided to join in. Onyx, go, he called forth his Pokemon. Now the 4 Team Rocket members were being stared down by 2 giant Pokemon and 1 tiny electric mouse as it shot out electricity from its cheeks. Both Jessie and James summoned their Pokemon, while Sasuke and Sakura mimicked their superiors. The 7 Pokemon stared each other down, but TR's Pokemon were more frightened of the giant red Gyarados than of the rock snake and electric mouse. Jessie, feeling brave, then spoke out. Let's show them that size doesn't matter. Ekans underground, she ordered. Then James followed. Coughing, use smokescreen, he ordered. Ekans. The snake Pokemon roared as it dove underground, followed by Coughing using its smoke to cover its track. Sasuke, feeling ignored, then order. Nidoran, use poison sting on the Gyarados, he said, getting a "are you kidding" look, but sighed and did what it was told, only for the giant water Pokemon to swat the attack away, and thus clearing the smokescreen. When the smoke cleared, the group noticed that the Moonstone was gone. Sasuke and Sakura then laughed. Looks like we win this round, loser. Now hand over your Pokemon, he said arrogantly. Naruto then growled. Ashley, you and the others follow the 3 Stooges. I'll deal with the emo and his harpy, he said, getting a nodded from both Ashley and Brock. Onyx, follow them underground. The former gym leader ordered his Pokemon, in which it complied by tunneling underground. Ashley, leading the group out, shouted, there's still a chance to catch them, as they ran out the room, leaving Naruto to combat the new TR recruits. Naruto looked at Sasuke and his fangirl and looked at him with disappointment. How far have you fallen? Your brother would be so ashamed, he said, getting a growl from the Uchiha. Shut up, you worthless trainer. If it wasn't for that whore of a mother you have, then Ryoku would have been training me, he roared, with Sakura adding, yeah, if your bitch of a mother hadn't spread her legs for the champion, then he would train Sasuke-kun. With this, the final straw has been dealt, and it official broke the camera-up's back to say Naruto was pissed that these 2 would have the gall to insult his mother right in front of him, but also saying that she was the only reason why Ryoku was in his life. In a fit of cold rage, Naruto stared at the duo with an unnerving glare. Review Hyper Beam them max power, he said with cold fury. Then the red Gyarados complied with its master's order and charged its most powerful attack. Then it fired, hitting its mark and sending them flying. Review looked at her master with worry, for she had never seen her master so angry before. Naruto then sighed and looked at his Pokemon, giving her a smile reassuring that everything was fine. Come on, Review, let's go help the others, he said, with Review growling in agreement. Meanwhile, with Team Rocket, as they slide down the mountain with the Moonstone, thinking that they'll get away scot-free, Jessie then yelled. Nice guys always, the James added. Finish last, with Meowth adding. We just made from worst to first. Then as they slid further from where they stole the Moonstone, Brock's Onyx appears in front of them, stopping their escape by smashing their sled. Ashley and the gang finally caught up to them. Good job, Onyx, Brock said, praising his Pokemon on a job well done. Grab them now, he ordered, while the TR members were disoriented. As Onyx stuck, James acted fast, coughing counter-attack. He ordered his poison gas Pokemon, knocking both Pokemon out in the process. As Ashley and her friends made it to the site, then noticed someone appearing from the hole that Onyx made. Hey look, it's Naruto and Review, she said, getting everyone's attention. As Naruto and Review came out of the hole, they were followed by a group of Clefairy, who then proceeded to gather around the Team Rocket group and began waving their hands back and forth. This action made Naruto nervous and confused. Trail Seymour then explained that it was an attack called Metronome, and this made Naruto really nervous. Everyone hit the deck. He yelled as he and everyone took cover as the Clefairy stopped wagging their fingers and started to gloat. Then came the explosion, which of course sent Jesse, James and Meowth flying. Looks like Team Rocket is blasting off again. Flashback end. Anyways, after a failed attempt at stealing the Moonstone, even with the help of Sasuke and Sakura, who didn't see that one coming, and sending them blasting off, Naruto, Ashley, Hinata and Kiba managed to acquire several shards of the now destroyed Moonstone as to evolve their Pokémon in the future. The group was on their way to Cerulean City when they were stopped by a trainer that went by the name of Amaru, and she in Naruto's opinion was an interesting trainer. Flashback. The group was only 3 days away from meeting the gates to Cerulean City. As the group was getting ready to set up camp, they stopped when they heard rustling in the bushes behind them. They all got the Pokémon of their choosing ready to go when they saw who it was. A girl, who has long reddish-brown hair, has rather thick eyebrows and blue eyes, and a mole under the left eye. She also wore a cyan blue GI with a cream-colored vest over it, which covers her cleavage, blue shorts, and dark arm and leg bands. Getting over their scare, they all introduced themselves, and the girl introduced herself as Amaru, a Pokémon trainer from Unova who came here to follow in the footsteps of her parents, who she mentioned were trainers of Kanto during their youth. After introducing themselves, Naruto, much to the dismay of both Ashley and Hinata, invited Amaru to join them for dinner. She happily accepted his offer. Then all the trainers unleashed all their Pokémon so they can eat too. When he did, he was then tackled by an indigo blur, a black blur and a white blur. When he was on the ground, the Pokémon revealed to be his baby Pokémon, a Ralts, a Zorua and a Suicune pup. At the sight of the Suicune, everyone gathered around Naruto asking where and how he got these Pokémon. Feeling crowded, the younger Pokémon either growled or tried to hide behind their trainer, father, but it was his older Pokémon Charlotte, Charmeleon, Setsuna, Dratini, and Review, Iason, Gyarados, that stopped them from interviewing their blonde companion and thus further stressing the younger Pokémon. As Naruto feed his baby Pokémon via bottle with formula, Misty asked what type were his baby's Pokémon. He explained that Suicune, who he nicknamed Saiyofu, was a water type, Zorua, who he nicknamed Yoko, was a dark type Pokémon, and Ralts, who he nicknamed Kanjo, was a psychic, fairy type, a new type that was discovered in Kalos. Misty then proceeded to pester him on giving his Suicune pup to her by saying, "Since I'm a water Pokémon trainer, I have much more experience with the type." This made Naruto irritated at this Carrot Top for asking him to relinquish one of his Pokémon over to her just because she's a water Pokémon trainer. This made Saiyofu hide behind her trainer, father, in fear of the crazy girl and of being separated from its trainer parent. The pestering was put a stop to when Review slithered till she got in between her trainer and Misty. She then glared at the water trainer, basically telling her to back off. Misty, not wanting to get tangled up against an angry Gyarados, decided to drop the subject and return to the others. This action made Sayo grateful to her giant friend, which was the same sentiment that the other baby Pokémon did to Review. The night went on as usual, with Naruto and Ashley preparing for their battle at Cerulean City as for which Pokémon to use. Naruto informed her that Cerulean City Gym is a water gym, so she decided to go with Pikachu, Pidgeotto and her newly caught Nidoran, and Naruto decided on Setsuna, Shido and Omni, but since 2 of the 3 Pokémon were at Professor Sarutobi's lab, he had to go to the Pokémon Center and ask the good professor to send Omni over. When they asked who Omni was, he pulled out his Pokédex and showed them a picture of Mew. This made everyone question as to how a rookie trainer managed to capture one of the most powerful Pokémon in the world. His answer was he found it as it slept in a forest near Pallet Town and threw a Master Ball at it. At this everyone was impressed, even their new friend Amaru, who then asked the blonde trainer for a battle tomorrow morning, in which he agreed to. Everyone slipped into their sleeping bags and slept. The next day, and after a good hearty breakfast brought to you by Brock and Naruto, Naruto and Amaru stood just yards away from each other ready for their battle. At this, Ashley, Misty, Brock, Hinata, Kiba and Shino stood to the sidelines to watch their battle unfold. Naruto then pulled out a black Pokeball. "All right, Setsuna, I choose you," He then summoned his pink Dratini, who then tackled and wrapped around her trainer as she rubbed her head against his face, showing affection. Amaru then giggled. "Well, it looks like you've raised our Pokemon very well for it to show how much it loved you," she said as she got out her Pokeball. "Dynamo, go." She summoned her Pokemon. The Pokemon that came from her Pokeball is a short, white, eel-like Pokemon with dark, oval eyes and a red, 4-point star-shaped mouth. A wavy, yellow stripe runs along its body, which has a long fin membrane, giving it a tapered shape. Naruto then got out his Pokédex and scanned this new Pokemon. Dynamo, the elf-fish Pokemon. Dynamo usually lives in groups and has an electricity-generating organ which discharges when in distress. Naruto then put away his Pokédex, cool another Pokemon from the Unova region. "And here I though Yoko was the only one," he said as he motioned to Yoko's Pokeball. Amaru then smiled. "So are we going to battle or not?" she asked as her Dynamo began to discharge some of its electricity. Naruto smiled. "You're on." Skip battle ended in a draw. After their intense battle, Naruto and company had mentioned that they were going to Cerulean City, which made Misty tense up, and Amaru tells them that she had just come from there and had won her first badge. This made Naruto and Ashley disappointed in themselves for not getting there faster, but shrugged it off at the end since they were planning to go there for the Cascade badge. Before they parted ways, Amaru pulled Naruto in and kissed him on the lips, which caused Ashley and Hinata to glare at this girl for kissing their man. She then pulled away and ran heading to Pewter City. "Bye Naru-kun, I hope to see you at the Pokemon League," she yelled as she ran off to her next gym battle. At this, Naruto was left blushing, Brock and Kiba green with envy, Ashley and Hinata fuming that another girl was moving in on their man, Misty nervous of the thought of her group going to Cerulean City, and Shino stoic as ever. The group continued their way to Cerulean, but Misty was trying and failing to stir them away. But when Naruto mentioned that his fiancés were to arrive to Cerulean City today, everyone other than the Pallet Town trainers were shocked that the blonde was engaged to several suitors and that Ashley and Hinata were two of those suitors, much to the dismay of Brock and Kiba. So, not wanting to keep them waiting, Naruto then sped down the road to his destination with everyone following suit. Flashback over: Naruto and his friends were huffing, catching their breath, but when they looked up they saw the sign that read, "Welcome to Cerulean City." At this, both Naruto and Ashley grinned at the chance to challenge the gym and win their next badge. We find our heroes staring at the sign that said, "Welcome to Cerulean City." Naruto and Ashley fist pump at the thought of challenging the Cerulean City gym leader and winning a Cascade badge, while Brock, Kiba, Shino, and Hinata wanted to go to the Pokemon Center to recover and resupply before heading out on their own, and Misty was nervous of setting foot within the city. She tried to get them to skip the city altogether, but both Naruto and Ashley were determined to go there and win their second badge. Misty's pledge to not go to Cerulean City caught the attention of Kiba, Shino, Hinata, and Brock, as if to wonder, why was Misty so adamant of avoiding Cerulean City? Naruto had countered her argument by saying that his fiancés were in Cerulean City right now and it would be rude to miss them after coming such a long way to see him, and Ashley wanted to meet a childhood friend who was coming today. Guess who? Misty tried to get them to reschedule for another time and city, but failed when Naruto and Ashley gave her a glare that silenced her, and the two passed her by without a second glance. Now that they have finally reached their destination, the group decided to first visit the Pokemon Center to get their Pokemon fixed up and to call their respective professors about the progress of their Pokemon, or in Naruto's case, to switch out Pokemon to make his party better equipped against the water Pokemon the gym leader would use. Upon arriving to the center, Naruto was then blindsided by several blurs and was knocked to the ground. When everyone saw who they were, Ashley and Hinata fumed. Kiba and Brock were completely jealous of the blonde trainer. Shino remained neutral and Misty was slightly irritated. The first was a woman with light blue hair that she keeps in a high ponytail, light purple eyes, wears a sleeveless leotard that cut high on her thighs, black gloves with a black cape and black short heel shoes. This was Claire. The second was another woman with long blonde hair with her bangs covering her left eye. Her eyes were a light shade of red and in her hair were two hair accessories that were black and had yellow bands toward the ends. She wore a black trench coat with black fur on the neck, wrists and at the bottom. She wore a black undershirt with black women dress pants and black high heels. This was Cynthia, the recently named champion of Sinnoh. The third was a girl with wild teal hair that she keeps in a ponytail, but since her hair was too wild, it doesn't go down. She has light blue eyes and she wears a red sleeveless zipper shirt and a red skirt. This was Liza, the caretaker of the Cherisific Valley. The fourth girl wears a cream-colored top with a pink collar and cuffs, a pink skirt with a big ribbon, white leggings which are colored yellow at the ends of the legs and pink and white shoes with yellow straps. This was Iris. The fifth woman has red eyes and long black hair with red highlights. She wears a purple halter top, purple gloves, black pants with a gold diamond pattern at the top, and purple high heels. Her appearance is reminiscent of the Pokémon Seviper. This was Lucy, the Pike Queen of the Battle Frontier. The last girl's outfit consisted of a dark gray tank top with a white collar, dark gray stockings, honey hair that reaches above her waist, red skirt, black high tops, and a dark pink hat paired with a black hatband and ribbon bow. This is Serena, the childhood friend of Ashley and Naruto. Naruto looked at the women and smiled. "Hi everyone," Naruto said as he greeted his 6 girlfriends, fiancés, with a smile. "Hello Naruto-kun. Koi." They greeted him back. Not that I mind, but could you please get off me?" he said, making them aware of their current situation. The girls blushed and proceeded to get off him. Naruto was helped by Ashley. "Hello Naruto-kun, it's been a while," Claire said. "It sure has, Claire-chan. Oh, and before I forget," he said as he pulled out his luxury ball. This caused Cynthia to smile. "Thank you, Cynthia-chan. This luxury ball was used for my first dragon Pokemon. Come on out, Setsuna," he said as he tossed the Pokeball to reveal his shiny Dratini, who then tackled its trainer and coiled around his chest as to hug him and rub its head on his cheek with affection. This caused the group to giggle at their fiancé's predicament, much to his dismay. My Naru-kun, it would seem that Ryoku-sama gave you quite the dragon starter," Iris said in a semi-mock tone. "Oh hey Iris, how's training with Drayden Gigi going?" Naruto asked, seeing Iris flinch at his question. "Please don't ask. This is my first real break since I started my training, so please don't bring his name up," the girl said as she slumped over. "Sorry Iris-chan," he apologized. "It's fine Naru-kun," she said. Then Naruto feels a pair of arms wrapping around his neck and a pair of breasts pressing against his lower neck. "Hello Naruto-koi. You sure have grown," Lucy said with a melodic tone, making his spine shiver. "Lucy-chan, it's good to see you again as well," he said in a husky tone that made her shiver. This scene made the girls glare at the Frontier brain at how openly she was flirting with their man. Then Liza decided to join Lucy, but hugged him and brought his head into her chest, thus sandwiching his head between 2 pair of succulent breasts, making the girls even more jealous, and the boys in the Pokemon Center, including Brock and Kiba, were jealous that the blonde punk was living every straight man's wet dream. As this was going on, Ashley and Serena were playing catch-up with Hinata, talking about her adventures in Kalos and about someone who seemed interested in joining the harem, but needed time to think it over, but will have an answer for her when she returns to Kalos. Then Serena, Ashley, Brock and Hinata and company noticed that Naruto's Dratini was starting to discharge some of its electricity due to the closeness of these foreign girls with her trainer. This caused the group to get nervous. "Oh boy," was all they said until Setsuna unleashed a powerful thunderbolt, shocking everyone in the Pokemon Center. After the attack, Setsuna noticed that everyone including her trainer got caught, more like became the epicenter, in the attack. She then looked around to see all the twitching women and gave a satisfied grunt right before curling up on Naruto's chest and took a nap. 30 minutes later, after the whole ordeal and asking Professor Sarutobi to send over Shido, Ivysaur, and Omni, Mew, after depositing Charlotte, Charmeleon, and Review, Gyarados, and asking Sarutobi to put the 17 Ekans and 1 Arbok in his Wonder Trade account that he and his stepfather had set up. When Serena asked how he managed to acquire a Kalos region exclusive app, Naruto explained that Ryoku's grandmother had sent him the program. However, since Ryoku didn't need it, he gave it to Naruto to one day be able to trade with other trainers from the mysterious Kalos region. I'm gonna skip and move on to when the group goes to the gym, and yes, I'm bringing the Wonder Trade. However, only Kalos has the app. As the group made their way to the gym, Ashley couldn't help but admire the scenery. "So this is Cerulean City, hey Brock?" Ashley asked her companion. "Pretty nice place, isn't it?" he said. "Yeah, pretty cool. Hey look, where did Misty go?" Ashley asked, looking back only to see that Misty wasn't with them. Naruto, along with his fiancés and Hinata's team, looked behind them to notice the same thing. "Hey, where did Carrot Top go?" Kiba asked as Shino adjusted his sunglasses. It appears that she may have gotten separated or has decided to go elsewhere, he said. Naruto then shrugged. I'm sure she's fine anyways, let's go to the gym, then we can worry about Misty's whereabouts later, Naruto said with disinterest as he continued his trek to the gym with his fiancés and friends. She really didn't want to come to Cerulean City, did she? Brock asked as he continued following the group. I wonder why she hates this place so much, Ashley asked. Shino said. We'll never figure out, girls, the bane of every human male that have ever walked the earth, Kiba said as he crossed his arms and slowly shook his head. Now that I can agree upon, Brock said. As they made to the shopping district, Naruto and company noticed a large group of people standing outside a machine shop with 2 police vehicles parked outside the building. Curious as to what's going on, they decided to investigate. The police? I wonder what's going on, asked Ashley. Yeah, responded Brock. The group then rushed over to see what was going on. When they arrived, they noticed that the group made a half-circle ring around the entrance with 8 police officers, 4 doing crowd control, 3 talking to store managers, and 1 was collecting evidence. Naruto and company managed to make it to the front of the crowd to see what was going on. Ashley then turned to one of the spectators to gather any information. Excuse me, do you know what happened here? She asked a random stranger. The guy then turned to her. Some burglars broke into that store last night, he said. Burglars, huh? Naruto asked. What do you know about it? A familiar feminine voice said, making Naruto cringe and thinking that this was going to be Viridian City all over again. Huh? The group collectively said. You all look very suspicious to me, Officer Jenny said as she looked at the group, mainly at Naruto, who had an annoyed look to his face. Hey, you're that motorcycle officer from Viridian City, Ashley said, pointing at the policewoman. Ashley, they all look alike, hence why I call them clones, and I think the Nurse Joys are clones, Naruto said under his breath. Huh? Then you must have met my sister-in-law, Jenny said. She then turned to Naruto. If you know my sister-in-law, then that means you've dealt with Viridian City Police, she said, folding her arms and leaning closer to Naruto, trying to look intimidating, but still had a deadpan look to his face, and his fiancés looked at the woman thinking that she was crazy to accuse their man of thievery. Naruto said nothing but stare at the woman while quietly summoning Setsuna from her Pokeball. Now maybe you just stopped to ask for directions, or maybe you found a wallet on the street and turned it into her, or maybe you're a burglar who escaped from jail, she said, twirling a pair of handcuffs. This time Naruto was really agitated. You have 5 seconds to get those out of my face, Naruto said, trying to maintain his composure while Setsuna, finally outside her Pokeball, made her way to Naruto's shoulders, which caught everyone's attention as they've never seen actual Dratini before, especially a pink Dratini, and this Dratini was glaring at Officer Jenny and she was staring at the blonde. Where did you get that Dratini? She asked. My father gave her to me as it is tradition for those who wish to become Dragon Masters, Naruto said, but from the look on her face she didn't believe him. Yup, this was Viridian City all over again. A likely story for a thief. You must have stolen it, she said, pointing at him. This time Naruto was angry because this woman had just accused him of stealing the Dratini. The same Dratini his father gifted to him as his first dragon Pokemon, a sign that one is ready to undergo the trials of a dragon trainer apprentice. Before Naruto could do or say anything, Setsuna then launched a low-powered thunderbolt at Officer Jenny, knocking her out. This caused everyone to look at Naruto and his Dratini like they've grown a second head. Naruto crossed his arms and glared at the downed officer. Setsuna doesn't like the way you've accused me of stealing her, he said with a tone that carried plenty of authority. Officer Jenny quickly recovered and glared at the blonde trainer. You've assaulted him, she said before Naruto cut her off. My name is Naruto Uzumaki Tatsumori, the adopted son of Ryoku Tatsumori and his apprentice. If you think I'm lying, then call your sister-in-law, because she assaulted me on my way to Viridian City thinking that I'm a thief and a liar. Then I showed her my identification as a registered trainer from Pallet Town to further prove who I say I am, also to further prove who I say I am, he said as he reached into his vest pocket and pulled out his family crest, which was the dragon emblem surrounding a red swirl. The dragon element from the TCG around the Uzumaki swirl. When Jenny saw this, she froze and paled, because not only did she accuse the champion's adopted son, but also a member of the Order of the Dragon, an organization that works with the international police to take down criminal organizations like Team Rocket, and to falsely accuse a member of a crime without any evidence is an instant demotion or termination of said law enforcer. Naruto then gestured to his fiancés. These are members of the order. Claire, the Blackthorn City gym leader, and the right hand of Lance, the Johto region champion. Then you have Cynthia, the Sinnoh region champion and head of the Sinnoh chapter. Liza, the caretaker of the Cherisific Valley. Iris, the apprentice of Drayden Gigi of the Unova region, and finally Serena, trainer from the Kalos region and soon-to-be apprentice of Drasna Obaa-chan. So everyone here are members of the Order of the Dragon from all over the world, Naruto said, informing the police woman, who paled even further because she had accused the blonde in front of other members of the Order, which spelled bad news for her. She immediately bowed to him with her forehead touching the ground. I'm sorry, please forgive me, she begged. At this, Naruto then turned to his fiancés, seeking their counsel, as if asking should he forgive the woman or have her lose her job. They nodded as if to say to forgive her this one time. Very well, I'll let this transgression against me slide. Anyways, what was stolen? And maybe I can help, Naruto said, with his personality down a complete 180 from malicious to serious about what was going on. That the strange thing about it, they didn't steal any money, just a massive vacuum and a giant hose, she said. Why would anyone want that stuff for? Ashley asked. Naruto then had an epiphany. Jenny, have your people stationed around the Cerulean City gym. I have a feeling that those who stole the vacuum and hose will appear there, he said, getting everyone's attention. Wait, why would they appear there? Jenny asked. Because if I wanted to steal water Pokemon, I would do it at the gym, because from what I've heard they have an indoor pool filled with water Pokemon, and water Pokemon like Goldeen, Magikarp, Horsey, and Tentacool need to remain in water for mobility, and once they're out of the water, they're defenseless and become easy pickings for Pokemon thieves like Team Rocket, Naruto said, getting everyone's attention. Very well, I'll report this and have a squad here in 15 minutes, she said before saluting Naruto and leaving to report her findings. Naruto and his friends and future wives decided to make their way to the gym. Along the way, Brock, Hinata, Kiba and Shino decided to go shopping for supplies and rations. So Naruto and the rest decided to make their way to the gym. About 10 minutes later, they found the gym. The exterior. The building is a dome-shaped, brightly colored gym with a gigantic painting of a dugong on top of it. Huh, what an interesting design, Claire said as she admired the gym's outside appearance, thinking of doing the same with her gym. Getting some design ideas for your gym, Claire-chan? Naruto asked the Blackthorn gym leader. I think I can put statue of my Dragonair wrapping around the gym. What do you think? She asked her fiancé. Kind of narcissistic if you ask me, Iris said. Claire then put her knuckles on Iris's temples and squeezed rather hard. Who asked you, ya little troll? Itai, 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 Itai? I'm sorry, Claire-san, the girl stated to flap her arms and let little comical tears fall out of her eyes. As this was going on, Naruto and the rest of the girls saw this and sweat dropped and wondered if they should stop this or leave those two alone and let them sort it out on their own. After things settled down, the group went inside. Upon entering, they happened to come across the start of a water show, so the group decided to watch and wait for the show to be over so that Naruto and Ashley could challenge the gym leader for their second badges. Skipping the water show scene. Naruto and Ashley decided to find the Cerulean sisters while Naruto's fiancés decided to stay in their seats. So after a while, the two trainers found the three sisters. The first had long indigo hair and brown eyes. She wore a teal swimsuit and a hair accessory that resembled a chain of red pearls. This is Violet. The second has long blonde hair with green eyes. She wore a similar swimsuit as Violet, but hers was red and a flower hairpin. This is Daisy. The last has short pink hair and blue eyes. Like her sister, she wore a similar swimsuit as the other two, but it was a yellow color. This is Lily. Naruto then approached the three. Hello, my name is Naruto Utatsumori and this is Ashley Ketchum. We came here to challenge you free to win this gym's badge, he said. The mention of his name, the three looked at him with a curious eye. So you're Ryoku-kun's boy, huh? Daisy said, inspecting the blonde. You don't look like him at all, so you must have been adopted or he married to your mother, so which is it? Lily said. Girls, stop crowding the poor boy, and I believe you're making someone quite irritable, Violet said, pointing at a seething Ashley who looked like she was about to sick her Pikachu on the three sisters. So I suggest you free harlots keep away from my boyfriend. It's bad enough I have to share him with a bunch of other women. I don't need any more competition, she said, marching toward the three and stepping in front of her blonde boyfriend. Relax, kid. We're not interested in your blonde friend, we're just asking a simple question, Lily said, brushing Ashley off. Naruto noticed that Ashley was about to lose her temper and decided to intervene. Ash, relax for me, he said, placing a hand on her shoulder, thus calming her down. She looked to him and nodded. Naruto then turned to the girls. To answer your question, Ryoku married my mother and gave me his last name, so technically he did adopt me, he said, answering their question. Ashley then decided to ask her own question. So are we going to battle or not? She asked, making the sisters sigh and lead them to the pool where the show took place. 5 minutes later, I'll be your first opponent, Naruto said, folding his arms, giving them a confident smirk. Naruto's fiancés sighed and remembered that when it came to battling, Naruto was overconfident in his own abilities, never was arrogant. About that, the sisters said in unison. What? Naruto asked. We don't feel much like battling anymore, Lily said, putting her hands on her waist. What do you mean? Ashley asked while both her and Naruto's sweat dropped. We got beaten several times by a bunch of trainers from a town called Pallid Town, Violet said, making the two young trainers sigh in disappointment and the group's sweat drop. It was just one defeat after another. My eyes were spinning after all the losses, Violet said while making hand gestures. We practically had to rush all of our Pokémon to the Pokémon Center, Daisy said. This is the only Pokémon we have left, Lily said, summoning a Goldeen. You mean all you have is a Goldeen? Ashley asked in shock while Naruto pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to stem the headache that was fastly approaching. If it would evolve into a Seeking, we could use it. But all it can do now is Horn Attack, Violet said when she was stopped by Naruto, who raised his hand as if to stop her from talking. Please just stop. I don't know what's worse. The fact this gym has one of the easiest pass rates, or that you free just suck as gym leaders, he said, making the three-sister face fault at the blonde's analogy. Lily then called back the Goldeen, and Daisy decided to continue where her sister left off. So like there's no point in battling, she said. So now instead of having matches, we can make ourselves more beautiful than ever, Lily said, making Claire fume at these girls' laid-back attitude. Wow, that's a very narcissistic if you ask me, Iris said. Claire folded her arms, closed her eyes and nodded. I can agree with you on that, she said. This caused the three sisters to look at the group of women. Who are you? Lily asked. That caught the attention of Cynthia. Oh, where are our manners? I'm Cynthia, the Sinnoh region champion, and here are my soon-to-be harem sisters, she said, pointing at the girls. First there's Claire, the Blackthorn City gym leader, she said, pointing at the woman wearing a black leotard. Hello, Claire said, not ever looking at the sorry excuses for gym leaders. Then there's Liza, the caretaker of the Cherisific Valley, she pointing at the girl in red. Nice to meet you, she said, waving at them. Then there's Lucy, the Pike Queen and Frontier Brain of the Battle Frontier, she said, pointing to the woman with a Seviper color scheme hairdo. A pleasure, she said nonchalantly. And Iris, the Dragon Trainer apprentice of Drayden from the Unova region, she said, pointing to the mocha-colored girl. You know, that attitude you three have is pretty childish if y'all ask me, Iris stated, causing the sisters to sweat drop. Finally, this is Serena, a Pokémon trainer all the way from Kalos, she said, pointing at the girl. Hello and thank you for having me, she said respectfully. After Cynthia had introduced her group, the sensational sisters paled at the mention of both herself and of the mention of the female gym leader, who looked completely disappointed in them. Claire just glared at them and it seemed to intensify, making them shrink at her gym leader battle aura. Then Naruto coughed, getting their attention and away from Claire. So if you're not gonna fight, then what? He asked. Then Daisy faced the pool, clapped twice, then yelled. Seal, she called out. Then a pinniped Pokémon with a thick hide covered in bluish-white fur. It has a pale tan maw with a large red tongue and a pair of tusks on its lower jaw. It has circular eyes and a black nose. There's a small horn on its forehead, which it uses in combination with its tusks to bore through ice floes. It has 2 flippers on its chest, and 2 more on the end of its tail. When the tail is raised, it resembles a waterspout. Naruto and Ashley pulled out their Pokédex to see what kind of Pokémon had just surfaced. Seal. The sea lion Pokémon, covered with light blue fur, its hide is thick and tough. It is active in bitter cold of -40 degrees Fahrenheit. The sea lion Pokémon then jumped out of the water, then stuck out its tongue and revealed 2 cascade badges, one for each of them. Daisy then grabbed the badges then presented it to them. Here the Cascade badge. This is what you two wanted, right? You can have them, she asked as she held the badges at them. Thanks, but I'd rather win my badges than be given them, Ashley said, feeling like she'd cheated to earn the badge. I feel the same way. I'd rather earn them than be handed to me. It doesn't seem fair to just take them, he said, getting nods from the girls. Take them. A badge is a badge, Lily said. Make the two slumps over then proceeded to take them even though it'll leave a sour taste in their mouths. Just as when they were about to take the badges they heard a familiar shriek. Hold it right there, the voice said, causing everyone to see who it was. Misty, Ashley yelled. Misty then jumped from the rafters and onto the ground. All right, Daisy, if you don't want to battle them, then I will, she said. This caused everyone to look at her in shock. What do you mean? Asked Ashley. I'm a Cerulean City trainer too, she said, getting a shocked look from Ashley and a raised eyebrow from Naruto, who had a suspicion about the carrot top. I'm the fourth sensational sister, Misty announced. Actually, they're three sensational sisters and one runt, Lily said, causing Misty to fume and everyone else to laugh a bit. So little sister, it's a surprise to see you this soon, Daisy said. That little girl with a big mouth who said she wouldn't come back here until she was a great Pokémon trainer. Wasn't that you? Violet said, caused Misty to realize what she had said in the past. Huh. Well, I guess that's what I said when I up and left, she said in realization. Oh, so that's why she didn't want to come here, Ashley said to her boyfriend, who only nodded. I guess that would make sense. However, trying to halt the progression of other trainers because of her own reasons is rather selfish, Naruto said, making Ashley and the others except Misty to nod as if agreeing with Naruto's words. Misty, you left here pretending to wanted to become a Pokemon trainer because you couldn't compare with us because we're obviously much more talented and beautiful than you were, Lily said with her arms folded. This caused both Misty and Claire to fume at girls' arrogance. Wow, talk about of narcissistic. Iris stated, making her future harem sister to nod and agree. After an outburst from Misty in response to Lily's jab at her pride, Misty then proceeded to challenge the two, making Naruto set up becoming her first challenger. Misty shivered in fear because now her first opponent was the guy who trained a Gyarados whose Hyper Beam almost destroyed the pewter gym in one shot. Naruto versus Misty. Both Naruto and Misty stared each other down. You may be my girlfriend's traveling companion, but I won't show you any mercy, Naruto said, reaching for his heal ball. I can say the same to you, Blondie. I wasn't planning on battling you, but as a gym leader I can't back out of a challenge, she said, getting out her Pokeball. Ashley, pay close attention at this battle so that you can understand Misty's strategy, Naruto said to Ashley as he pulled out the pink Pokeball. Iris then jumped down from the rafters and right next to Ashley. I'll be the referee if you don't mind, she said, pulling out two flags from her hair. Hey, if can hide her Pokemon in there, then what else is there? Alright, this is a gym battle between Misty, the Cerulean City gym leader, versus the challenger Naruto Yu Tatsumori from Pallet Town. Only 2 Pokemon are allowed, with only the challenger being allowed to substitute. There are no time limits, so let the battle begin, she said, raising both flags signaling the 2 trainers to summon their Pokemon. Shido, I choose you, Naruto said as he threw the pink Pokeball. Misty calls Staryu, Misty said, summoning her Pokemon. Naruto's shiny Ivysaur appears on the red floating platform, and then Misty Pokemon appeared. The Pokemon is a golden-brown sea star-like Pokemon with 5 appendages. These appendages surround an exterior organ called the core, which is held in place by a golden ring looped around its left leg. The core resembles a red jewel and is similar to a madreporite. Ashley then pulled out her Pokédex to see what kind of Pokemon is that. Staryu, the star-shaped Pokemon. The core of this water Pokemon shines in a rainbow of 7 colors, a core that is valued by some as a type of jewelry. Naruto smirked. This'll be quick. Ready, Shido? Naruto asked his Ivysaur. Ivysaur, Shido said, acknowledging her master's words. I'll start things off, Shido. Use Razor Leaf, Naruto commanded. Then Ivysaur raised 2 of its leaf and then smaller leaves were launched at the Staryu. Staryu, dive into the water, Misty commanded. The Pokemon then dived into the water, thus causing the attack to miss their mark. Misty then grinned, but then Naruto chuckled. What's so funny, Blondie? Misty asked. Oh, nothing, just what I wanted your Staryu to do, she said with a confident smirk. And what's that? She asked. By sending your Pokémon into the water, of course. Now Shido, coat the water with your leech seed. Naruto ordered his grass Pokémon. Shido then launched seeds into the water, which then sprouted into vine-like weeds on the surface. At first Misty was confused as to why Naruto would coat the surface of the water with leech seed. Then it hit her. If her Pokémon was to attack, it needed to resurface to get a direct hit, and when it does, her Pokémon would get entangled in the leech seed. In the rafters, the women were astonished at their fiancé's strategy, have to force his opponent to either call back her Pokémon or risk it getting entangled by the grass-type move. So what are you gonna do? Naruto asked, waiting for the gym leader to choose to either call the match or risk her Pokémon getting the full effect of leech seed. Finally having enough, Naruto then decides to take action. Shido used Vine Whip to fish out the Staryu, then drag into the surface so that the leech seed can do the rest. Naruto ordered his Ivysaur. Then 4 vines protruded from where the base of the plant was on its back and shot into the water to capture its intended target. This made Misty worried. Staryu dodged the Vine Whip, she ordered, trying to save her Pokémon. The star-shaped Pokémon then dodged the whips as best that it could. However, Naruto had trained his Ivysaur to capture water Pokémon within their own element, so it wasn't until long that one of the vines had finally caught the Staryu, then the other 3 vines wrapped around it so it wouldn't struggle. Good job, Shido, now bring it to the surface, he said. Soar. Shido responded as she pulled the water Pokémon to the surface, and once it breached the leech seed then wrapped around the water Pokémon and did its damage. Oh no, Staryu. Misty yelled in concern for her Pokémon, who was taking too much damage from the multiple leech seed vines and the Vine Whip. After its failed attempts to get away, Staryu succumbed to the draining effects of leech seed and fainted. Staryu is unable to battle. The battle goes to Naruto. Now it's the time to switch out your Pokémon, Iris said, raising the green flag, which was the challenger flag. Naruto calls back Shido and pulls out his Master Ball, while Misty calls back her defeated Staryu. You take a nice long rest, Staryu, she said as she quickly acquired her second Pokeball. This made everyone who knew what was inside the luxury ball to go wide-eye. Is he going to use that? They all though. Setsuna, I choose you, Naruto said, throwing the luxury ball, and summoned his shiny Dratini. Dratini. The pink dragon Pokémon then slithered to its trainer, climbed up to Naruto's shoulders and rubbed her head against his cheek affectionately. The sight of this Pokémon made Misty and the Sensational Sisters wide-eye, because this kid, a Pokémon trainer with about a month of experience, possessing one of the most powerful and rarest pseudo-legendary Pokémon, and what made it even more rare was that it was a completely different color. Now Misty was really nervous, because not only was the shiny grass Pokémon was bad enough, now she had to contend with one of the most powerful Pokémon in Naruto's party. Just because you have a Dratini doesn't mean anything, Misty calls Starmie. She yells as she summoned her next Pokémon. What came out of her Pokeball is a violet sea star-like Pokémon with a gold formation on its front. Its jewel core, which can glow in 7 colors, has developed to resemble a cut precious stone. A second set of semi-attached arms have formed, and are able to spin 360 degrees. This time, Naruto pulled out his Pokédex for answers. Starmie, the mysterious Pokémon, the evolved form of Staryu. When away from human eyes, its core is said to glow mysteriously in 7 colors. This Pokémon may have come from outer space. Huh, interesting. It also says that it's a dual type with water and psychic. Setsuna, let's do this, he said, getting a nod from Dratini right before slithering off its trainer and leapt onto a platform to avoid the leech seed-covered waters. Setsuna stared at the Starmie while discharging some of its electrical capabilities, which put Misty on edge. If this Dratini knows any electrical attacks, then I'm as good as lost, Misty thought as she tried to come with a strategy to combat against this battle-hardened Pokémon. Alright, the second round can now begin, Iris said, raising both flags indicating that both trainers can begin. Setsuna used Dragon Dance. Naruto ordered his Pokémon, which then gave a mighty roar as red energy covered the entire length of the Pokémon, causing the opposing water Pokémon to tremble at the tremendous power surge its opponent was putting out. The power that Setsuna exerted was so great that it had created waves in the pool that pushed the leech seed weeds into the shores of the pool, thus clearing it. Everyone, especially Misty, was shocked at how powerful this little Pokémon has gotten within a few weeks. The Dratini, after performing its stab boost technique, it then zeroed in on its target. Setsuna used Dragon Pulse destroy the platform that Starmie is on. he ordered. The pink Dratini then opened its mouth as a ball of red and black energy formed in front of its mouth. Misty then acted. Starmie, jump into the water, hurry. She ordered her star Pokémon. The Pokémon then complied with its trainer's command, and just in time, because the Dratini then launched a red and black beam at the platform, destroying it. Misty wondered why would Naruto destroy the platform, then it hit her. Starmie, get out of the water, she yelled. Too late, Setsuna used Thunderbolt on the water. Naruto ordered, in which the Dratini charged its attack and then shot a powerful surge of electrical energy at the water, electrifying it. When the attack was over, the star-shaped Pokémon came up to the surface, bobbing up and down, showing that it had fainted almost immediately. Starmie is unable to battle the second round, and the gym battle goes to Naruto of Pallid Town, Iris said, raising the challenger flag. Misty then called back her Pokémon with a saddened look to her face, like she was disappointed in herself, but knew that this trainer was beyond normal, given the fact that he was the champion's adopted son. Whatever training method he'd used to make his Pokémon champion level, Naruto must have used the same to make his Pokémon much stronger than what the average trainer was capable of within the given time frame. The seal then wobbled over to Naruto and stuck out its tongue and gave him a Cascade badge. Alright, I've won a Cascade badge, Naruto said, doing the badge pose with both Dratini and Ivysaur roaring in excitement. Up on the rafters, Cynthia, Claire, Lucy and Liza gave a nervous smile while sweat dropping at their fiancé's childlike behavior, but couldn't help but love their soon-to-be lover. Meanwhile, Serena, Lucy and Ashley cheered for their boyfriend's victory. Naruto then approached Misty and gave her some max revives and max potions to help heal her Pokémon for her next battle with Ashley. All the while he signaled the women in the group to remain vigilant because something may or may not happen, so both Claire and Cynthia got pee and headed outside just in case the burglars who stole the giant vacuum and hose appeared anywhere near the gym. Alright, it's my turn, Ashley said, getting ready to battle Misty. I may have lost to Blondie, but I won't lose to you, she said, getting ready to battle Ashley. I can say the same to you too, Carrot Top. Pikachu, I need you for this one, she said to Pikachu, who looked torn between fighting for its trainer and fighting against a friend, until it laid eyes on Naruto, who gave him a look that said, you better fight or else there will be Pong, which made Pikachu fearful of what could happen if he didn't fight for Ashley. So not wanting to piss off Ashley's boyfriend, he decided to fight against Misty. Pika Pie, Pikachu said as it discharged some electricity from its cheeks. Skip battle, and since Pikachu chose to fight, the gym battle ended with Ashley's victory. As Ashley was about to receive her badge, they heard an explosion outside the gym building which lightly shook the building. Everyone then hurried outside to see what all the commotion was. 15 minutes earlier, Claire and Cynthia had just left the gym building when they saw the Cerulean City Police Force along with Officer Jenny surrounding the gym. The two women approached the local law enforcement and set up a perimeter around the gym while Cynthia and Claire took the roof in case Team Rocket tried an aerial assault via hot air balloon. The groups didn't have to wait because they saw a vehicle with what appeared to be the stolen vacuum converted into a mechanized menace, what was going to be used to steal the Pokémon inside the gym. You ready to catch us some crooks? Cynthia asked as she pulled out a Pokeball. I was just about to ask the same thing, Claire responded as she pulled out her Pokeball. The police then pulled their sidearms and started to open fire on the wheels. One of them got in a lucky shot and blows out one of its tires, causing it to lose control and topples over and slides until it stopped just feet away from the barricade. Then Jesse, James and Meowth crawled out of their vehicle in a daze, wondering what just happened. Then they see a wall of police led by an officer, Jenny, and two women they've never seen before who've jumped off the roof and have joined the blockade. So these are the thugs that our Naru-kun was warning us about? Because these two don't look very intimidating to me, Claire said, clearly disinterested at these so-called super criminals. I couldn't agree with you more, Claire, although they were planning to steal Naru-kun's Pokémon, so we should get rid of the pests, Cynthia said as she got ready to summon her partner. Team Rocket then regained their bearings and tried to look intimidating. Oh my, someone who hasn't heard of us, Jessie said. It's only common courtesy for us to introduce ourselves, James said. Prepared for trouble, Jessie said. Make it double, James said. To protect the world from devastation, the red-headed girl said. To unite all people within our nation, the periwinkle-haired man said. To denounce the evils of truth and love, to extend our reach to the stars above. Jesse, James, Team Rocket, blast off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight. Meowth, that's right, Meowth said. After they've said their motto, Claire and Cynthia's sweat dropped at how stupid that was and felt that some of their brain cells were destroyed. The two looked at each other. Instant kill? Claire asked. Instant kill, Cynthia answered. Dragonair, Garchomp, they said together, summoning their Pokémon companions. The first Pokémon to appear is a long, serpentine Pokémon with sky blue scales and a white underside. Its violet eyes are dark and glossy. It has a smooth, rounded snout and a small, white horn on its forehead. Its head is flanked by two small, stylized wings, which are white and curve into a swirl at the base. Three blue, crystal orbs, one on its neck and two on its tail, adorn its body. The second Pokémon to appear was a Pokémon they've never seen before. The Pokémon is a bipedal, dragon-like Pokémon that is primarily dark blue, with a red underbelly that covers from the middle of its abdomen to its jaws, and then to the undersides of its arms. Underneath the red is a gold diamond shape as well as a gold cross on its snout. The Pokémon has appendages that resemble a jet or plane's engines, giving it an appearance similar to a hammerhead. It has 4 fins, one on each arm, one dorsal fin and another on its tail that resembles a shark tail fin. It has spikes on its hind limbs and arms as well as sharp claws. Its eyes have black scleras and gold-colored irises. Its pupils have shrunk. The two Pokémon there glared at the loser brigade, but they were gazing at the Pokémon with the intent to steal them. However, before they could say anything, the two women took action. Dragonair, Garchomp, Dragon Pulse. The two women ordered their Pokémon, who then responded by attacking the two. The two dragon Pokémon then launched their attacks at the group, but missed and hit the vehicle, which then exploded with enough force to shake the gym building. The idiot duo was caught in the explosion and was sent blasting off, again. Seriously, how these bozos keep surviving every explosion they've ever been in. Jenny and the officers were shocked at how strong and quick those two Pokémon were, and the thought of seeing their entire party was a nightmare. They quickly got over their shock when they heard the sound of rapid footsteps coming from behind. They turned around to see Naruto, Ashley, Naruto's fiancés, and the sensational sisters all came out to see what had caused the explosion. Normal POV, those who were in the gym, had come out only to see Claire, Cynthia, Officer Jenny and the Cerulean police force along with the remains of the stolen vacuum and pipe. Naruto asked Claire and Cynthia what had happened and the two just deadpanned. You didn't tell us how lame this organization would be? The two said, causing everyone to sweat drop. The two trainers presented their newly acquired badges and were congratulated. The police isolated the area as a crime scene. The sensational sisters went back to the gym to check on the Pokémon to ensure that the shock didn't spook the Pokémon. Cynthia, Claire, Serena, Lucy, Liza and Iris said their goodbyes to Naruto in the form of kisses, in Lucy's and Claire's case a French kiss, much to the ire of the other girls. Naruto and Ashley made a call to their mothers and Naruto decided to change up his party, seeing as he's going to need a balanced team, so decided on Setsuna, Charlotte, Shido, Mizukame, Yoko and Hane for now until he had time to train his other Pokémon, which he might since it'll take about a week to get to Vermilion City. So, after saying their goodbyes to Hinata and her group, Naruto, Ashley, Misty and Brock trekked down the dirt road to their next destination. With Ryoku we find the champion in what appears to be an abandoned warehouse, but the location of said warehouse was odd because while most warehouses would be found near docks and industrial areas, this one was in the middle of a forest with a dirt road leading to it. He decides to investigate to see if this warehouse was merely a front for something else. As he investigates, he stumbles across a panel. Odd, this warehouse had no lights and no door, so why would it have a panel? So he opened it and clicked the green button. Upon activating it, part of the floor opened up to reveal a stairway to a secret passageway. He narrowed his eyes, odd why something like this would be here. As he got out a flashlight, turned it on and walked down the stairs. He continued his trek until he found a long hallway, but stopped. He then pulls out a spray can, pressed the top to create a mist which then revealed lasers. So much security for an abandoned warehouse. I wonder what's being kept down here. As he noticed that the top wasn't laser protected, he jumped up, grabbed the pipes and climbed his way across to the door that was on the other side of the hallway. He noticed that the door needed a keycard to gain access into the room, but Ryoku had another way to getting in via hotwiring the door which worked. For once since the last time he tried to hotwire a keypad door, He got electrocuted and had a twitch for about a week. The Elite Four called him Twitchy throughout the ordeal. So did his wife. Anyways, he entered the room and noticed that it looked like a laboratory with computers, lab equipment, the whole 9 yards. Ryoku approached one of the computers, pulled out a flash drive from one of his pouches, put it into one of the hard drives and began his hacking for any information the computers may possess. Upon accessing the computer, he notices that some of the research files had information pertaining to cloning and a mention of a Dr. Fuji as well as Gideon, Virgil, Anna, and Oscar. Another thing he came across was mention of Pokémon cloning and the mention of Mew. Ryoku then began uploading the data files into the flash drive for further analyze. Data download progress, 5% completion. As he waited, he then heard footsteps coming down the hall. Acting fast, he turned off the screen, but kept the hard drive on to continue his information gathering without notice. He hid behind one of the shelves with his back hugging the shelf. He waited to see who was coming and for what reason. The door opened to reveal Sasuke, Sakura, and the one person he never wanted to meet again, Minato Namikaze, the former champion and Yellow Flash of Kanto, and more importantly the former husband of Kushina and Naruto's biological father. Minato looked like a grown version of his adopted son minus the 3 whisker marks on the cheeks. He has bright, blue eyes and spiky, blonde hair. Minato also had jaw-length bangs framing either side of his face. His attire consisted of a standard white Team Rocket male uniform. He is also wearing a short-sleeved long white haori over his normal attire, closed in the front by a thin, orange rope. The haori was decorated by red flame-like motifs on the edges, with the kanji for Yellow Rocket written vertically down the back. Along with those 3 was a scientist with brown hair, large glasses with round lens. He was wearing a lab coat and dress shirt with a tie along with black dress pants and shoes. Ryoku pulled out a voice recorded and turned it on to gather any audio evidence that they may say. "So have the plans been delivered to the boss as you were instructed?" the scientist asked the 3. "Yes, they were, and I must say he was excited about the thought of owning his own cloned Pokémon," Minato said as he folded his arms. "Just imagine, with the DNA of the Mew fossil and combined with the DNA of a human, we'll create the world's most powerful Pokémon, superior than Mew in every way, and once we have a successful clone, then we'll begin with other Pokémon, image an army of superpowered legendary Pokémon at our disposal. We'll have the world in the palm of our hands," the scientist said like a mad scientist. Sasuke scoffed. "As long as I get the second cloned Pokémon, I don't care what the boss wants with the world," he said with arrogance ingrained in his voice. Ryoku, seeing the youngest son of Mikoto turn to the dark side, he slowly shook his head in disappointment. "How far have you fallen, Sasuke? If Itachi-kun and Mikoto-san sees you now, they'd be so disappointed in what you've become," Ryoku thought sadly at his former student's little brother. "Yes, Sasuke-kun, you'll get your Pokémon once the Project Mewtwo has been completed. I guarantee that the second cloned Pokémon will be yours," the scientist said as he activated one of the computers and began accessing some of the files that contained files pertaining to Project Mewtwo and started typing some things. "If you're all right here, I must report back to the boss." "Sasuke, Sakura, let's go," Minato said as he left with Sasuke and Sakura flanking him. The door closed and the scientist went back to work. As the scientist started working, Ryoku crawled out of his hiding spot with a dagger in hand in reverse grip. He slowly and stealthy approached the scientist with the blade ready in case things go south. He was right behind him. Then in a split second, he put the blade to his neck and a hand over his mouth. "Shout and I'll slit your damn throat," he whispered in his ear, while pointing the blade to his neck to make sure that his message was clear. "Now I'm going to move my hand away from your mouth and you're going to answer my questions," he said as the scientist quickly nodded. Ryoku then pulled his hand away, but still held the blade to his neck. "Now you're going to tell me, what is this Project Mewtwo, and who is this boss you're working for, and why does he want a Mew clone?" he asked. Project Mewtwo is a project funded by the leader to create a super Pokémon far more powerful than any living Pokémon, something stronger than the original, improved through the power of human ingenuity and advanced techniques, a Pokémon that's far superior than its original, he said like a man preaching about playing God. "And the other questions?" he asked. The boss wanted the Mew clone to help him control the world, because after all, Team Rocket deserves to rule this world and enslave both its human and Pokémon population, and as for who the boss's true identity is, you'll never know, the scientist said with a sadistic smirk. Ryoku glared at the man. and then he plunged the dagger into the man's throat, killing him. He then goes to the computer he was on and turns it on to see that it was 100% completion in terms of download. He takes the flash drive and puts out an explosive charge and set it to 5 minutes. He runs to the door, opens it, and runs down the hall and up the stairs only to see that the door was closed and the panel smashed. "Damn you, Minato. Charizard, go," he said as he called his partner. The flying Pokémon roared and looked at his trainer. "Charizard, flamethrower, blast down the door, hurry," he commanded. Charizard then blasted a torrent of fire blasting through the door, and Ryoku jumped onto the Charizard and the Pokémon shot into the sky, just as the explosive goes off, destroying the laboratory and part of the warehouse. Ryoku looked down at the now destroyed secret lab and warehouse. He goes into his pocket and pulls out the flash drive and stares at it. "I hope whatever it is isn't something that get the whole Dragon Order of Kanto involved," he thought as he glared at the small device. It has been a week since Naruto, Ashley and company arrived to Cerulean City and won their second badges. Naruto said his goodbyes to his fiancées and to Kiba and Shino, whom decided to stay along with Hinata to train and for Kiba to earn his second badge. Within the week, Naruto and his friends have run into several individuals and locations. The first was a trainer named AJ, a fierce Pokemon trainer who has never lost a match. Full of confidence, Ashley decided to challenge this undefeated trainer, so she dragged her boyfriend to AJ's gym. They found his gym and Naruto was quite impressed with the setup, to say the least. Ashley challenged the undefeated trainer and lost completely because she completely underestimated her opponent, especially when the boy used his Sandshrew to overwhelm Ashley's Pokemon. Sandshrew. The mouse Pokemon. It burrows and lives underground. If threatened, it curls itself up into a ball for protection. Naruto then challenged the boy, and when he introduced himself, AJ claimed that he would be his 100th victory, but when Naruto unleashed Setsuna upon AJ and his Sandshrew, it was a major defeat for the former undefeated trainer. When he asked how was his Pokemon so strong, Naruto explained to AJ that he used similar restraints as what he was currently using, but has a much higher restraining level, and with the super training mod that Ryoku gave him, help with training his Pokemon. They of course ran into Team Rocket, and AJ had the honors of defeating the Three Stooges. After giving AJ some parting advice, the trainer decided to venture on his own to being his Indigo Gym challenge. The next day, while walking through a heavily fogged area, while trying to ignore the bickering between Ashley and Misty about the bike, they meet a group of kids where one was running on a treadmill until he fell off due to the speed increasing and him not having the time to adjust his own running speed. Of course, Ashley ran in telling the other students to leave the boy alone. They brushed her off, calling her a loser, but when Naruto stepped in, they silenced themselves because of the terrifying glare he was giving them. He asked what was going on. The student with the green hair said that they were helping the younger student study, but Naruto could tell that was a load of Tauros shit and called out Charlotte to scare the other kids away. When mentioned the name of the school, Misty pulled out a flyer talking about the school. Naruto said that the spotters of the school came by his house a few years back wanting him to attend only because he was the stepson to the current Kanto champion. Ryoku and his family refused to send him there because, in the champion's word, learning from a textbook will only get you so far because it doesn't prepare you for the harsh reality of Pokemon training. Meaning that those who come out of Pokemon Technical only have book smarts rather than instinct, and the bond between human and Pokemon that one gains only through experience and one's own interaction with Pokemon, both tamed and wild. Ashley asked where the school was. Only for the fog cleared they realized that they were in the courtyard of the school. The boy, who was identified as Joe, talks about how his parents saved up the money to send him here, earning him a sympathy look from Naruto in understanding what any parent would to make sure their child had the best when it came to education, because he was homeschooled by his mother and trained by his stepfather, both of which worked him to the ground because they wanted him to be prepared for his own Pokemon journey. The boy goes on how the different level of courses is similar to how many badges one has, since both he and Ashley have 2 badges. They're at beginner level in terms of course level. Ashley asked if not demanded to meet the student in charge of the system. When he pulled out a picture and showed it to them, only Brock blushed at the girl in the photo while Ashley, Naruto and Misty stared. When asked who she was, instead of getting answer, Misty lashed out and marched into the school to find the girl and Naruto along with Ashley, Brock, Pikachu and the student to follow her to make sure she didn't do something stupid. Giselle, as she was called, was found in a computer lab doing Pokemon battle simulations, but instead of finding her, the boy ended up insulting Misty and thus was challenged into battling her. The battle ended in her favor, shocking the boy because he was using a grass-type Pokémon against her water Pokémon. Naruto and Ashley shook their heads in disappointment because type advantage was useless if the Pokémon was strong enough to have some resistance and will have some experience fighting the type. When he lost, Giselle along with several other students appeared and introduced herself with a snobbish personality that made Naruto sick to his stomach. When she saw the blonde, she ran up to him and asked if he would attend the academy, leaving his companions behind. Naruto refused outright because book smarts will only get you so far, but when faced with someone with actual battle experience, all that you've learned here would be useless. Giselle then turned to the boy and outright insulted him, claiming that he was worthless as a student, something that Naruto couldn't stand. Before Misty could say anything, Naruto challenged her to a match, saying, if she was so good, then may she with her money where her mouth is. She accepted the challenge. Naruto used Charlotte, while she used Graveler because of the type advantage and believing that his Charmeleon followed the same linear path of anyone who trained fire Pokémon like Charmeleon. Oh, how wrong she was in that assumption. Graveler, the rock Pokémon, the evolved form of Geodude. With a free and uncaring nature, it doesn't mind if pieces break off while it rolls down mountains. As soon as she began with a rollout attack, Naruto ordered Charlotte to use Metal Claw, an attack that Giselle wasn't expecting a fire Pokémon to learn such an attack. Charlotte's claws glowed metallic silver before sending Graveler into the air via uppercut. Then Naruto followed up with yet another move she wasn't expecting, Dragon Pulse, which sent the rock Pokémon flying out the wall and into the swimming pool outside. The battle was called Naming the Blonde the Victor. Naruto stared at the girl with such disappointment that it made her shrink at his gaze. He started to speak, saying that this was the difference between one who skips and one who preserves. When she asked what that meant, he followed with this: you assumed that just because I have a Charmeleon I would stick to just learning fire-based attacks. That is where you are wrong, for you see I trained each and every single one of my Pokémon to diversify when it came to their movesets, something that you don't learn from a textbook or a computer simulation. In a real battle, the trainer in question will always defeat you because you believe he'll follow the linear path of his Pokémon and have a moveset based on the Pokémon's type. I trained my Pokémon to have attacks and status attacks to either cover their weakness or to increase their resistance to their weaknesses. Another thing that you don't learn in a place like this is the bond one shares between themselves and their Pokémon. I trust my Pokémon and they trust me, something one learns only through experience and not this textbook Tauros crap. It's no wonder my stepfather hates this place. It's a mockery of everything of what being a Pokémon trainer stands for, he said before leaving, followed by Ashley, her Pikachu, Brock and Misty. However, just before they left, Team Rocket appeared and with Naruto already in a foul mood sent Charlotte to send them packing with a powerful flamethrower that had evaporated the pool. It had hit them and sent them blasting off. The next day, the group stumbles across a hidden cottage that helps sick and injured Pokémon, much like a Pokémon Center, only for wild Pokémon or Pokémon abandoned by their trainers. There they met Melanie, the caretaker of the cottage, and the Pokémon guardian of the cottage, Bulbasaur. After a failed attempt for Pokémon thievery by Team Rocket, Bulbasaur challenged Ashley after seeing her defend the cottage with her Pidgeotto and Pikachu the day before. Ashley won and captured the grass Pokémon, thus making her party stronger. After the events of the Pokémon cottage, they find a Charmander sitting on a rock. At first Ashley thought it was a wild one and threw a Pokeball at it only for it to sack it away. Confused, she sent Pikachu to ask what was going on. Pikachu chatted with the fire Pokémon only to come back and explain that it was waiting for its trainer to come back. Naruto narrowed his eyes at that, suspecting that the trainer may have abandoned it, saying that they'll come back for it. Something that disgusted him completely, but decided to leave it for now. As they made their way to a Pokémon Center, a storm came through. When they arrived, they saw a group of Pokémon trainers surrounding a trainer named Damien, a name that came up in Naruto's list of trainers to look out for because of his ruthless training methods. He was bragging about leave the Charmander behind, saying that it was weak. Finally having enough, Naruto marched to him and socked him with a mean left hook. Damien got up to retaliate, only to receive a foot to his chest, keeping him in place. Naruto looked to the other trainers to see if they were going to get involved. They backed away, seeing that the blonde meant business. Naruto then bent down to stare at the down trainer. You're everything I despise in Pokémon, trainer who'd abandon their Pokémon just because of something that's clearly your own fault, he said to the down trainer. My fault that Pokémon is so weak a Caterpie could beat it. So why should I even keep it? Damien said, glaring at Naruto as he tried to move his foot off his chest but proved to be a futile attempt. Naruto was about to retort, but was stopped by Nurse Joy, who demanded that those two be moved away from each other immediately. Naruto scowled but knew the rules of the center, so he backed away. You're lucky that Nurse Joy stopped me, because had she didn't I would have ripped out your tonsils so that no one would hear your obnoxious voice again, the blonde said as he walked back to his group, who was worried about the Charmander that was still outside. Naruto ordered that he, Ashley, Misty and Brock to go and bring it here to the center. When it was brought to the Pokémon Center, it was in bad shape. Joy accused them of its poor condition, but Ashley said it was Damien's fault for its health. So they stayed monitoring Charmander's condition overnight. The next day, they found Charmander's bed empty, assuming that it had left to wait for Damien on the rock. Not waiting for Naruto, Ashley, Brock and Misty left to find it only to fall in a pit trap set by Team Rocket where they capture Pikachu, only for Charmander to appear and use a rather powerful flamethrower, burning away their rubber suits. After a spat with Damien, Ashley caught Charmander with Naruto appearing afterwards, congratulating her on a job well done. The next day the group ran into a group of mischief Squirtle calling themselves the Squirtle Squad. After an incident with Team Rocket, the forest outside their hideout was set ablaze, but the tiny turtle Pokémon decided to stop the fire and thus they became heroes of the town. All but one decided to join the fire patrol while the leader decided to travel with Ashley. Now we find our heroes in a forest with Naruto leading the group. Naruto, Ashley, have you gotten us lost again? Asked Misty, who was too tired to argue with the Pallet Town trainers. Naruto and Ashley stopped and turned to the Carrot Top. No, this path leads to the ocean and from there we'll be near Professor Bill's laboratory, the blonde said, getting a shocked look from everyone. You know Professor Bill? Asked Brock. Yeah, my stepfather is a friend of his and so he took me there to meet the professor, and I have to say he's more knowledgeable than Professor Oak and Professor Sarutobi when it comes to Pokemon in the Kanto region, although I've met the other region's professors. Professor Elm and Professor Rasa from Johto, Professor Birch and Professor I from Hoenn, Professor Rowan and Professor Onoki from Sinnoh, Professor Juniper and Professor May from Unova and Professor Sycamore and Professor Orochimaru from Kalos, AN. He isn't evil in this fanfiction. So pretty much I know all the Pokemon professors from all the different regions of the Pokemon world. In fact, if I ever set foot in any one of those regions they would give me any if not all the starter Pokemon from the get-go. He said, making everyone jealous that he not only got to meet the other Pokemon professors, but was promised all 3 of the starter Pokemon from said region. Anyways, this path will take us to the ocean because his laboratory faces the ocean, Naruto said. Why is that? Misty asked the blonde trainer. Because his laboratory is a lighthouse on top of a cliff, so it makes perfect sense for the location of his lab, he said, informing the 3 of why Bill's lab would be facing the ocean. Ashley raced ahead of them, not wanting to wait another minute long. Naruto sighed, knowing she would do that, so decided to follow her, but at a steady pace, with her Pikachu deciding to ride his shoulders. It took the rest of the group to catch up with Ashley when she had just caught a new Pokemon, Krabby. The Pokeball started to glow and vanished from her hand. At first she was about to panic when she remembered what Naruto told her about the max limit of usable Pokemon for registered Pokemon trainers, and that once the 6 Pokemon limit was reached, any other Pokemon will be sent to Professor Oak's lab, or in Naruto's case Professor Sarutobi's lab. Krabby, the river crab Pokemon. If it senses danger approaching, it cloaks itself with bubbles from its mouth so will look bigger. Ashley notices her group and runs toward them. Hey, I just caught a Krabby with no help, she said with a huge grin on her face as she tackled Naruto to the group, causing Pikachu to jump onto the ground and away from the falling pair as it didn't want to get crushed by the Pallet Town couple. Naruto, now on the ground, patted Ashley's head. That's good, Ashley. Now you'll be able to train it and soon enough it'll evolve into a powerful Kingler before you know it, he said, making her deepen her hug into Naruto's chest. Naruto hugged her back but was interrupted by Misty. Can you please not do this now? Weren't we going to see this Professor Bill, and if he own a lighthouse that means we can sleep in an actual bed. I'm sick of sleeping in sleeping bags, she complained. Naruto and Ashley looked at her with a questioned look which said, then why are you here? Then Pikachu calls everyone's attention, pointing towards a lighthouse. Hey, there it is. Bill's Pokemon Research Lab. See, what did I tell you? A lighthouse on top of a cliff facing the ocean, Naruto said as he was getting up. Hey, do you think he has a phone? I would like to get in contact with Professor Oak to see the condition of my Pokémon. Naruto, maybe you should do the same because I fear that Professor Sarutobi might be in a pickle since you sent him those 2 baby Pokémon back in Cerulean City. She said, thinking of what 3 young Pokémon looking for its parent would be like. Naruto agreed wholehearted because he too was worried now that she brought it up. Oh, I hope they're okay, he thought as he began heading towards the lighthouse with everyone following him. The sun has disappeared, leave the sky in the care of the moon. The group has finally made to the doorway to the lighthouse. Naruto gazed at the door with fascination. Past, present or future, these doors will always be the coolest things I'll ever see, he said as he marveled at the craftsmanship of the door that was etched with pictures of Pokémon. Naruto goes up to the call box right outside the door, clicks the button. Yo, Bill, Naruto, are you home? He spoke into the box, hoping the professor was home. Oh, hello Naruto, it's been a long time since you and your father came to visit. How've you been? The voice said. I've been doing great. I started my journey from Pallet Town 2 months ago, and me along with Ashley Ketchum have obtained 2 badges and we're on our way to Vermilion City. But I decided to visit since your lab was along the way, Naruto replied back. I was wondering if I could use your phone to check up on my Pokémon back at Professor Oak's lab and to make sure that Professor Sarutobi's lab hasn't been destroyed by Naruto-kun's Pokémon, Ashley said, getting a sweat drop from Naruto. We've been camping out for a while and I'd sure appreciate a nice comfy bed, Misty said as she butted between the 2 trainers. Yeah, and I was wondering if I could use your kitchen to make bacon double cheeseburgers for our group. And I'd be more than happy to make something for you, Brock offered. Hey, if there's one thing that Bill loves more than Pokémon, it's food, Naruto smirked in his mind. That's great. Can you make something without using tofu? Bill asked. Oh sure, I can make lots of things without using tofu, Brock said. That's great. I've been eating nothing but tofu since my cook went on vacation. Come on it, Bill said as he opened the door. The inside looked like something you'd see in a castle. As they walked in, Ashley asked, would you mind if I borrow your phone? There's a phone right near you, Bill said. The group then looked towards a Bellsprout phone with a TV monitor. Hey, it's a video phone. That's cool, Misty said. I'll call the professors to see the status of our Pokémon, Ashley said, walking towards the phone. I'm sure Krabby is in great shape, Brock said, and I'm sure my Pokémon haven't caused any trouble. I hope, he said, now worrying if when he sees Sarutobi again the laboratory would be in shambles. The professors won't mind if I call and collect, she said as she dialed the numbers and 2 screens appeared, one with Oak cooking and Sarutobi taking labored breaths. The sight of this made both Ashley and Naruto pale. Oh hi Ashley, you caught me cooking dinner. My cook is on vacation and I have to fend for myself till she returns, Oak said. Oh lucky you, Oak. While you're eating I'm having to survive the onslaught of 2 panicked Pokémon looking for their parent, he said as he ducked from getting hit with an ice beam. At this Naruto paled even further. Sarutobi sees Naruto. Naruto, you're going to be the death of me. You now that, the old man said, not knowing that the 2 Pokémon heard their parent's name and ran towards the screen, crushing the poor professor and barking and whining at the screen seeing their human parent. Oh Sayofu. Kanjo, I'm so sorry for sending you away. I was hoping that you'd be able to interact with the other Pokémon, so if you're in battle with either one you'd feel more comfortable, but I guess you 2 weren't to leave the nest yet. Tell you what, I'll send 2 of my current Pokémon to get you 2 back, Naruto said with a sincere smile on his face. The 2 Pokémon cried, happy that they'll be back with their human parents soon. Professor, I'm really sorry for the mess I've caused. I'll send the 2 Pokémon to have those 2 back as soon as I can, Naruto said, hoping that the professor wasn't too furious with him. Sarutobi clawed his way up to the desk where his phone was and he glared at Naruto with bloodshot eyes. Thank you Naruto Baka, he seethed out just as he hung up. After the call, Naruto looked paler than a shiny Gengar in an all-white room. Told you, Ashley said just as she was about to talk with Oak. Anyway, Professor, you're not eating my Krabby, aren't you? Ashley asked the Pallet Town professor. Don't worry Ashley, I'm taking good care of it, in fact it's right here, he said, moving to the side, revealing her Krabby in a same fishbowl. Anyways, the Krabby is too small to make a hearty meal. On the other hand, the Krabby that Gary caught would make an excellent dinner, much better than tofu, he said as he blew on the tofu cube before eating. What you mean, Gary caught a Krabby too? She explained. Yes, it's quite a catch. Take a look for yourself. he said, grabbing the camera showing the larger Krabby next to hers. Damn it, Ashley said, seething at the sight of the larger Krabby. Whoa, said Misty. Awesome, Brock said. That is quite a catch, although I think he might be overcompensating for something, Naruto said. I want you to know that my grandson Gary has already caught 45 Pokémon, Oak informed. 45 Pokémon, she said as she slumped. Pikachu? Questioned the electric mouse. By the way, Ashley, just where are you calling from anyway? The professor asked. We're at Bill's Pokémon laboratory on top of the cliff that faces the ocean, Naruto said. That's great, he knows more than I do when it comes to the Pokémon in the Kanto region. See what you can learn from him. He'll teach you just about everything about the Pokémon in this region and then some, Oak said. This is Bill, Professor Oak, good to hear from you, Bill said, still not revealing himself. Oh, hello, Bill. Please give my friend here a crash course on the Pokémon in the Kanto region, Oak requested. Oh. Tofu's done, he said before hanging up. Well, there's no way I'd deny a request from the great Professor Oak, Bill said just before the lights turned on, revealing a Pokémon with a large brown shell covering its body. There are two small eyes facing upwards on the outside of its shell, which it uses for sight when it hides on the ocean floor. The structure of its body is almost entirely unknown, except its 4 short, yellow legs and luminescent red eyes on its underside. This Pokémon was a Kabuto, but there was something wrong with it, for one, its average size was about 1 foot and 08 inches. This was too large and it was talking. I am Bill of the lighthouse, the Kabuto said in Bill's voice. Everyone except Naruto got into battle stances. Meanwhile, outside, Team Rocket was scouting the lighthouse. They had their binoculars trained on the lighthouse. According to the phone book, that lighthouse belongs Bill, the famous Pokémon researcher, Jessie said. Then I guess we've come to the right place, huh? James asked. There must be zillions of rare Pokémon stored inside that lighthouse, Jessie said. Then there's only one thing for us to do, Meowth said. Right, sneak in and take everything we can grab, James answered. How should we sneak in? We could take the road or risk our lives by climbing up the cliffs, she said. Well, we certainly can't take the road, James said. We have to climb up those cliffs, Jessie said. Then Meowth jumped onto Jess's shoulder. Because we're the bad guys and the bad guys always have to sneak in, the Scratch Pokémon said. It's time to rain on someone's parade again, James, Jessie said as she dressed in kabuki outfit. Jessie, he said. We're back to back, so prepare for trouble. Watch your step or we'll make it double, they said in unison. To protect the world from devastation, Jessie said. To unite all people within our nation, James said. To denounce the evils of truth and love, to extend our reach to the stars above. Jessie, James, Team Rocket, blast off at the speed of light. Surrender now or prepare to fight, Meowth. That's right, Meowth said. To be truly great villains we must do things the hard way, Jessie said. And then we'll become hardened criminals, James said. But it'll be tough to reach the top, Jessie said, pointing to the cliff the lighthouse sat upon. Because we're afraid of heights, they said, hugging each other, as Meowth looked at them as if they were crazy. Lighthouse. Back at the lighthouse, everyone except Naruto was staring at the large Kabuto. Brock was about to say something, but Naruto beat him to the punch. Yo, Bill, playing dress up again, are we? The blonde said, getting everyone's attention. Yes, but I forgot how short these arms are, so I can't reach the button to undo the costume, the talking Kabuto said, now revealing to be a man trapped in his own suit. I did warn you that you'd be trapped one of these days and become the Pokémon persona we all know you were meant to be, Naruto said, snickering. Ha ha, very funny, Naruto. Now can someone please get me out of here? The voice said as Ashley walked up to the Kabuto. Tell me what to do, Ashley said. Push that button, the voice said. You mean this one, she said, pointing at a button just under the right arm. Yes, these arms are too short. I tried to get out, but I could reach the button, the voice said as Ashley pressed it. The suit opened up, revealing a young man with curly green hair and a fancy outfit. Thanks for helping me get out. I've been stuck inside that suit for hours, Bill said. Hey, I bet you worked up a sweat. You look like you could use a shower, Naruto said before ducking as one of the costume's arms flew over his head, having been thrown by Bill. No one asked you, disrespectful brat, Bill said, fuming at the blonde. Did you come from a costume party? Misty asked. Hey, like anyone would invite him to a costume party? Naruto said under his breath, but Bill somehow heard him and threw the other arm at Naruto, this time hitting his mark. Ow, Naruto exclaimed. That's what ya get, you brat, Bill said, calming down and turning to Misty. No, it's not for a party. This is a special costume when I'm doing my research. Getting inside its skin helps me to get inside its head, Bill said as Naruto, rubbing the lump on his head, joined the rest of the group. What do you mean? Asked Ashley. Bill then turned to the wall tiles with the images of extinct Pokémon such as Aerodactyl, Oymastar, Omanite, and Kabuto. There are many kind of extinct Pokémon and I want to understand how they lived. Putting on a costume is one way of figuring out what they were like, Bill said. You can understand what a Pokémon was like from wearing a costume? Ashley asked. Yes, indeed, or I'm beginning to, Bill said as he sat down on one of the steps. This planet was created 4.6 billion years ago, and during that time all kinds of Pokémon existed. They had many ways of living, he said as the walls light up with the images of all 150 Pokémon species currently living in Kanto. All kinds of Pokémon, how many? She asked, but Naruto knew the exact number of Pokémon that reside in this region. On this planet there are over 150 known species of Pokémon, he said. Over 150? She exclaimed. Actually those are the number of Pokémon that reside in the Kanto region, he said, getting everyone's attention. Oh, and just how many there are? Bill asked. If you count the Pokémon found in Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova and Kalos, there are over 719 known species of Pokémon, Naruto said, getting a wide-eyed look from everyone. 719, they yelled. My stars, 719. You four are luck to be Pokémon trainers. Your goal is to capture all these types of Pokémon. That's a great and wondrous task, Bill said. Yeah, but so far I've gotten only 10 Pokémon, Ashley said, a bit disappointed. 35 for me, though most of my Pokémon evolved, Naruto said. I'm sure there are Pokémon that have never been discovered yet, so we need to keep searching, Bill said, trying to wrap his mind of the revelation of the actual number of currently known Pokémon. How many could still be out there? Ashley asked in bewilderment. That's the mystery, so the search goes on. There's always something new to look for in our lives and in ourselves, he said with a philosophical tone. Something to look for? She asked. Yes, there is something to look for inside and outside ourselves. There's meaning for every life in existence. A meaning for Pokémon and a meaning for all us human too, he said as he walked away. A meaning for all, Ashley said. Wow, talk about deep, Naruto said. Meanwhile, outside on the cliffs, Team Rocket was scaling the cliffs just under the lighthouse. Grunt. Sometimes I wonder what the meaning of it all is. Why go through all this trouble just to be bad? Jessie asked. It's so we can get other people's Pokémon, James answered. I'm all for just as long as there is something in it for Meowth, Meowth said. Back at the lighthouse. Keep look for new Pokémon to catch. It's something that's very important for Pokémon research. It's vital to me as it is to you. After all, I would like to see these Pokémon from the other regions, Bill said, mainly to Ashley and Naruto with his back at them. Then he turns to them. But right now there is only one Pokémon I'm searching for, he said, getting a shocked look from the group. What kind of Pokémon? Ashley asked. Now we find Bill and the trainers outside on the balcony. It's probably the biggest Pokémon ever. Bigger than all the rest, and no one has ever seen it, he said, getting everyone's attention. It's been wandering the world for years and years looking for friends, he said, looking out to the ocean. But doesn't the Pokémon have any friends or family? Misty asked, saddened at what the professor said. The Pokémon wanders because it is alone. It's the only Pokémon of its species, one of its kind, Bill said before he was interrupted by Naruto. You mean like a legendary Pokémon? Naruto asked. Legendary Pokémon? Everyone asked. Well, think about it. If you're saying that it's a one-of-a-kind Pokémon, then it has to be a legendary Pokémon because there is only ever one, he said. Maybe. Anyways, one night I heard this very strange sound coming from across the ocean, Bill said as he pulled out an audio control and started playing the mysterious Pokémon's call. A melodic cry was played through the speakers. I want to meet you, that's what it said to me, Bill said as his translation of the cry. Pikachu said with a saddened look. Some time ago, I recorded a similar sound and played it from the lighthouse and towards the ocean, he said, playing the sound. As the melodic wails were played, Bill translated, "Let's be friends, I want to meet you," he said. One day I heard the same voice calling back to me from over the ocean, "I want to meet you too. I want to be friends," it was answering me back. "So foggy night, that Pokémon might come here to meet a friend it's been seeking for a long time," he said before getting a twinkle in his eye. "I'd be so happy to meet that Pokémon," he said with a smile on his face. "But will you try and capture the Pokémon?" Ashley asked. "Catch? Why'd I need to capture it?" he asked. "Meeting it would be enough for me. Just the chance to study it would make my long wait worthwhile," he said as the sound appeared from over the ocean. As they peered over the ocean, a large figure emerged from the fog bank. As it got closer, Naruto immediately recognized the Pokémon, but couldn't believe the size of it. "And no way I know what that Pokémon is," he said in shock. "You do?" asked Bill. "Yes, because it's the same Pokémon that my father and soon myself will have. A Dragonite," he said, getting a shocked look from everyone, especially Bill, who turned to the Pokémon and started playing a signal to draw the large Dragonite closer. As both Lighthouse and Pokémon sang their melody, Brock and Misty started dancing. Pikachu swayed from side to side enjoying the beautiful melody, and Ashley and Bill were both in awe and shock because of the discovery of the mysterious Pokémon being the pseudo-legendary dragon Pokémon, and Naruto wondering how one got so massive in size. "Cliffs, what beautiful music," Jesse said. "It's soft yet so sweet," James said. Meowth turned his head and freaked. "Look, it's coming from that thing," he said, pointed at the approaching Dragonite. "That's a big Pokémon," she said in awe. "So size does matter," James said in shock. "Something so rare and unusual, you know what that means. Let's grab it for ourselves," Jesse said, pointing at the Pokémon. James pulled out a rocket launcher from nowhere. Anyone want to guess where he was storing that thing?" "You're right, I'll attack it at once," he said, but hesitated. "But it's a shame to aim at a sweet creature." "Of course it's a shame. We built our fame on shame," she said maliciously. "Go on and fire, that's all the shame left in me," Meowth said. James pulled the trigger and began his assault on the Dragonite, causing it to scream in pain. This caused it to thrash and destroy part of the lighthouse, forcing everyone to head down the stairs. However, Naruto fell, but used one of his ropes to save himself and swing onto the ledge of the cliff. He dropped and landed just a few feet away from the edge of the cliff. Naruto ran to the edge of the cliff and pulled out a Master Ball and pointed it at the giant Dragonite. "Sorry, but this will at least keep from harm," he said as he threw the Master Ball. The ball hit the Dragonite and drew it in. As the ball started to fall, Naruto pulled out his heal ball. "Shido, I choose you," he said, summoning his shiny Ivysaur. "Ivysaur!" Shido cried. "Shido, use Vine Whip to catch that Master Ball," he ordered. "Soar!" Shido said as 4 vines shoot out from under the large leaves on her back. The vines caught their target and retracted back. Shido then placed the ball on the ground just as it dinged, signaling that the capture was complete. Then it started to glow and Naruto pulled his Pokénav out to call Sarutobi to warn him about the incoming Pokémon. "Come on, pick up," he said after dialing the professor's number. "Hello," Sarutobi said, picking up. "Professor Edme, listen, whatever you do, do not release the Pokémon I just caught inside your laboratory. I repeat, do not release it inside your lab or there won't be a lab for you to call home," Naruto said with an ominous tone. "Oh, and why is that?" the professor asked as the Master Ball just appeared in his machine. "Because inside that ball is a giant Dragonite, the same that Bill has mentioned before as the mysterious Pokémon," Naruto said. "Oh, well, I'll be careful then," the professor said with sarcasm as he examined the Master Ball, wondering if that was true. "Please, Professor, I'm very serious about this one," Naruto warned. "Come now, Naruto, it can't be as big as he said it is," Sarutobi said as he hung up the phone. Naruto looked at the Pokénav. "This won't end well for him," he said to himself. Pallet Town. Professor Sarutobi's laboratory. After Sarutobi hung up, he picked up the ball and started walking outside to summon the supposed giant Dragonite. As he threw the ball, it opened and it revealed a giant Dragonite staring down at him. Sarutobi's phone and jaw dropped. "Dragonite," the giant said, completely confused. "What the fuck?" Sarutobi yelled, waking up everyone in Pallet Town. Lighthouse. Meanwhile, Naruto put his Pokénav away and sighed. I'm gonna get it next time I call him, he said as he slumped over. Ivysaur, Shido said as she used one of her vines to rub her trainer's back to comfort him. Naruto turned to Shido and smiled. Thanks girl, he said, thanking his beloved Pokémon. Soar, she said with a smile. Bill and the others walked to Naruto. Where did the Pokémon go? Asked Bill, wondering where his friend went. Probably at Professor Sarutobi's lab by now, Naruto said, getting a wide-eye look from Bill. Why did you catch it? He asked. Because it was getting hurt and I didn't want it to suffer anymore, so I caught it and now it's at Professor Sarutobi's lab where it can make friend with my Pokémon, although I think he's probably having a heart attack right about now, Naruto said, fearing the professor's reaction to the giant. Naruto-kun, I'm sure it isn't that bad, Ashley said, not knowing that she had just jinxed it. Pallet Town, Sarutobi's lab. Everyone in Pallet Town was standing outside Professor Sarutobi's lab, staring at the giant Dragonite standing behind the building as it tried to hide from the crowd. The paramedic came out of the lab with Sarutobi on a stretcher. What do we have? One of the paramedic asked. Male, age 87, suffered from cardiac arrest. Prep the Pikachu defibrillator, another said as they rolled the professor into the ambulance. Then they hooked a Pikachu to some wires, started the machine. One of the paramedics grabbed the shock pads while the other made sure that all metal objects were removed from the professor so not to kill him. Charging, the paramedic said as he rubbed the pads together before placing them when the heart would receive the charge. Clear, the paramedic said, pushing the buttons releasing the charge, however. Ah! Screamed Sarutobi as he shot up. Ah! Screamed the paramedics, scaring the Pikachu, which then unleashed its electricity, shocking everyone in the vehicle. As this was happening, everyone didn't know whether to laugh or take pity of the old Pokemon professor, none so other than Kushina, who was currently pinching the bridge of her nose trying to stem the migraine she was getting. I don't know if Naruto being a Pokemon trainer is a good thing or a disaster, but this pretty much speaks for itself, she said to herself as she then looks toward the giant Dragonite looking for its trainer, but decided to sleep and search in the morning. Lighthouse, Cliff. Naruto got the chills, wondering what his now pregnant mother would think of the situation, but pushed into the back of his mind for now, but knew to call her as soon as he reached Vermilion City to get the story of what has happened to the professor, who probably now has it out for him. Naruto then turned to Bill and the others. If it's all right with all of you, I'm going to bed, she before yawning. Ashley then yawned, followed by Pikachu, then Misty, and finally Brock. I'll make a big breakfast to make up for not being able to make dinner, the former Pewter City gym leader said, with everyone agreeing. However, before Naruto left, he looked over the cliff and saw Team Rocket scaling the cliffside searching for the giant Pokémon. Naruto then motioned his head for Shido to come to her trainer's side. Shido, drop some of your leech seeds over the ledge. Shido wanted to question her trainer, but did it anyways. As she did, she heard a couple screams followed by the shocking effect of the seeds latching on some poor fool. She looked down the cliff and saw Team Rocket being wrapped in her leech seed and falling down the cliff and into the water. She looked at her trainer and deadpanned. You're evil sometimes, you know that? She mentally said about her trainer before sighing and requested to being sent back to her Pokeball for the evening. Naruto did recall her and started heading back into the lighthouse to rest for the rest of the night, with everyone else following suit. The next day, everyone stood outside the lighthouse saying their farewells to Bill, though Naruto offered Bill that he could go to Pallet Town and study the giant Dragonite to see how and why it grew to such an enormous size. Bill got excited and left to prepare for his trip to Pallet Town, but not before saying goodbye to Naruto and his friends. Ryoku, the Kanto champion, after delivering the files he acquired from a Team Rocket secret lab to the International Police Force, was now following a rumor about a Team Rocket HQ in Celadon City. Ryoku, now currently disguised as an average citizen of the large city, was now tailing a suspicious figure, hoping he'll lead him to a secret doorway. As his target reached his destination, he turned around to reveal his true face, a face that made Ryoku sneer. Well, if it isn't the current champion of Kanto himself, it's been a while, the man said, removing his own disguise. Yes, it has been, former champion of Kanto, Minato Namikaze, Ryoku said as Minato revealed himself. Finally, after 3 days of walking from Professor Bill's laboratory, Naruto, along with Ashley, Misty, Brock, and Pikachu, had finally arrived to Vermilion City. As the 4 trainers stared at the entrance to the city, Pikachu collapsed, right before the trainers cheered to have finally arrived to civilization. Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! They cheered. Oh, I can't wait to take a bubble bath, said a tired Misty. I'm gonna hit the laundromat, said Brock. I have to see if I didn't kill Professor Sarutobi, said a worried Naruto. I'm gonna find the Vermilion City gym right now, Ashley announced, but was stopped when Naruto grabbed the back of her shirt. Hold it right there, the blonde said. Hey Naru-kun, what gives? She asked her boyfriend, who then pointed at her Pikachu, who looked weak from both exhaustion and hunger. Shaw, Pikachu weakly moaned. Pikachu, Ashley said as she picked up her Pokémon. It must be hungry, Misty said with a concerned look to her face. We haven't eaten anything decent for 3 days now, added Brock. Sigh, thanks for reminding me of that, Naruto interjected as his stomach growled. Hey Pikachu, feeling hungry little buddy? She asked as her stomach growled. This made everyone look at her with a deadpan look. Hee. Guess we're all a little hungry. Hey Pikachu? She asked, embarrassed for even asking her Pokémon if it was hungry when she too was hungry. Pikachu nods its head weakly, agreeing with his trainer. Pokémon Center, while Ashley and her group speaking to Nurse Joy. Naruto was at the videophone hoping that Professor Sarutobi would pick up the phone, but it was his mother who answered the phone and she didn't look very happy, which scared Naruto. Naruto, what did I say about causing for Professor Sarutobi? She asked as she gave Naruto a stare that would scare a herd of Tauros into changing their direction. I know, but to be fair, I did try to warn him about the giant Dragonite, and he didn't listen. By the way, how is he? He asked about Sarutobi's condition. Sigh, I saw his call log, so I believe you when you told him about the Dragonite. As for the professor, he should be out of the hospital in a week, so until he returns, he left me in charge of the laboratory with Iruka Amino as my assistant, she said as Iruka came into view carrying a case of Pokeballs. Oh, you're overseeing the lab. How are my Pokémon doing? Asked Naruto, concerned about the condition of his Pokémon, especially his latest addition. Your Pokémon are fine, and your latest Pokémon has been sleeping near the lake surrounded by your other Pokémon. It's kind of cute really, but what made catch it in the first place? Asked Kushina. Naruto then explained to her of how Bill spoke of how lonely the Dragonite was looking for someone to call friend, then how it was attacked by Team Rocket, thus forcing him to catch it for its safety. Kushina, after listening to her son's story, would have done the same thing to protect the large Pokémon, and to hear that Team Rocket attacked the poor creature with rocket launchers made her seethe with hatred of how despicable the criminal organization was in their capture tactics. Anyways, Mom, I'm at Vermilion City. Me and Ashley are going to challenge the gym here, he said to his mother. That good to hear, please let me know of the outcome, she said as she cut the feed. Naruto then hung up and then joined up with the group. Ashley and Misty seemed to be arguing about challenging the gym after seeing so many injured Pokémon come in after challenging said gym. A badge is a badge, Ashley yelled right before she was flicked in the nose by Misty. OWWW, she cried in pain. Then why don't you prove how tough you are by battling the Vermilion City gym, Misty said. From the looks of things here you have to be tough to battle with this Lieutenant Surge, said Brock. I've heard of him. My father told me that of all the gym leaders in Kanto, Surge is among the top 3 most ruthless gym leaders, Naruto said, joining the group. Is he that tough? She asked, worried if what her boyfriend said was true. Me and Brock gave you badges, you know. How do you think how bad we'll look if you get crushed by Surge? Taunted Misty. Didn't Ashley beat the two of you fair and square for her gym badges? Asked Naruto as he clearly remembered how Ashley, through training with her boyfriend, had managed to win her first 2 gym badges. Misty at this remembered how Ashley mopped the floor with her when she brought out her Pikachu, who should have refused to fight since it was fighting against a friend, but it would seem that the loyalty between Pokemon and trainer plus a glare from Naruto made the electric mouse think twice of backing out from helping its trainer. Ashley and Brock chuckled at this, making the Cerulean gym leader fume at being reminded of her defeat. Before she could say anything, a chime was heard and Nurse Joy appeared before them. Your Pokemon are ready for you, she said, informing the group that their Pokemon were ready for them. Pikachu was munching away at an apple while sitting next to 4 trays carrying everyone's Pokemon. Pikachu, Ashley called out to her Pokemon, getting its attention. I hope you're full because we're aiming for that gym today. Come on and let's go win a badge, she announced. Please hurry. Just hold on, Pidgey. A random boy yelled as both he and a Chansey were running to the emergency unit with a badly beaten Pidgey. Seeing this, Naruto cringed at the thought of seeing his or anyone's Pokemon in that state and hoped that both he and Ashley were ready for this. I guess they must have come from that gym, stated Misty. Pie, yelled Pikachu. Huh? Everyone looked to the yellow Pokemon. Pikachu. Pikachu. What, don't be a coward, Pikachu, said Ashley as she put her hands on her hips. Pikachu, said Pikachu. Huh? Don't I even care if you end up like that Pidgey in there? Is that it? She asked her Pokemon. Pika, said Pikachu, agreeing with what Ashley said. Wow, for a Pikachu who are known for being brave, you're a coward, said Naruto, getting Pikachu's attention. Pika Pie, yelled Pikachu. You heard me, wimp. I bet Setsuna will win at the gym because I have faith in her and she has faith in me. So unless you have that same level of trust with Ashley, then you'll always be a weak coward, he said as he walked away as everyone looked at the retreating blonde. Come on, Pikachu, let's go, Ashley said as she collected her other Pokemon. Pikachu wanted to protest, but decided to not argue with its trainer, so it followed her, dreading what's to come. Vermilion Gym, outside. So this is the gym, not very appealing to the eyes, but I guess I has character, Naruto commented on the outer appearance of said gym. You can appreciate the gym later, Naruto-kun. We got a badge to win, said Ashley, excited to challenge the gym. I'll just stick around to watch you two get creamed, commented Misty. If you think we'll be creamed, you're going to be disappointed, argued Ashley. Are we ever going to go inside? Asked Brock, wondering if the two females could leave their cat fight, for another time. Naruto approached the gym and opened its double doors, revealing two older trainers in punk outfit. Hello, we've come to challenge the gym leader to earn the Thunder Badge, announced Naruto. The male older trainer turned, Hey boss, another victim for the emergency room, he said. A large figure behind him got up. Which one? The figure said in a low baritone voice. As the figure approached, everyone sane Naruto backed up a bit, intimidated of the imposing figure approaching. When the man came into view, they could see that the man is a large, tall man, who has yellow short spiked hair and a slight tan. The man wears a large dark olive green openly military button shirt which is rolled up into small cuffs, with black pants and boots. He also wears black fingerless gloves, with some iron buttons on the edge, as well as an army token necklace on his neck. Whoa, he's huge, commented Brock. Is he the gym leader you two have to beat? Asked Misty. I guess so, said Naruto. Welcome to Vermilion Gym, he said as he hugged Misty. He pulled away from the carrot top. Oh, my next challenge is a cute one. Don't think I'll go easy on you, he said, convinced that this girl was his next challenger. Excuse me, but I'm not the challenger, she said with a nervous chuckle. Then who? Surge asked. That would be us, said Naruto. Oh, another cute one and a baby, he said, turning to them. Baby? Asked Naruto angrily of the insult. I call everyone who loses to me baby, he said as he noticed the Pikachu hugging Ashley's leg. Oh, a Pikachu. Hey, look at this, the cute one brought a baby Pokemon, the gym leader said, getting a laugh from his comrades. Quit it. Why are you making fun of my Pikachu? Asked Ashley, insulted that Surge had the gall to insult her Pokemon partner. Pika, complained Pikachu. I'll show you why, Surge said as he pulled out a Pokeball. Go Pokeball, he said, throwing the Pokeball, calling upon the Pokemon inside. What came out was a bipedal, rodent-like Pokemon. The Pokemon is covered in dark orange fur with a white belly. Its bifurcated ears are brown on the outside, yellow on the insides, and end in a distinctive curl. There are circular yellow markings on its cheek where its electric sacs are, and it has a triangular, dark brown nose. Its arms and feet have patches of brown fur at the end, and the soles of its big feet are tan with circular orange pads. On its back are two horizontal brown stripes. Its long, thin tail has a lightning bolt-shaped end. Rai, the Pokemon cried. It's a Raichu, said Ashley, as both she and Naruto pulled out their Pokédex. Raichu, a mouse Pokemon of the electric element. Raichu is the evolved form of Pikachu. It can shock with more than 100,000 volts, enough to render a Dragonite unconscious. Ashley's Pokédex entry. Raichu. The mouse Pokémon. The evolved form of Pikachu. This Pokémon exudes a weak electrical charge from all over its body that makes it take on a slight glow in darkness. Raichu plants its tail in the ground to discharge electricity. Naruto's Pokédex entry. Shoo, grr, growled Pikachu with Ashley mimicking her Pokémon. Naruto only glared at the Pokémon who practically screamed arrogant. Well babies, if you want to quit now's your chance, said Surge arrogantly. Raichu, added the mouse Pokémon. There is no way we're going to quit now, argued Ashley while Naruto stayed silent watching the interaction between his girlfriend and the gym leader. Hey, what could a baby like that do? If you want to become a Pokémon master, you should make your Pokémon evolve as soon as you catch it, Surge said patting his Raichu's head. This however got Naruto's interest because what Surge said gave a clear indication of the type of person he was. There's more to raising a Pokémon than forcing it to evolve. And I like this Pikachu just the way it is, Ashley countered as she put her hand on Pikachu's head. The 3 Vermilion gym trainers laughed at what Ashley said. Wrong baby, an electric Pokémon is only useful once they learn all of their different electrical attacks. You keep it puny like that it's no more than a little pet, Surge taunted. Pikachu growled as it discharged some of its stored electricity. Can Pikachu beat Raichu? Asked Misty. I seriously doubt it, if Raichu know all the electrical attacks, Brock said. There is also the fact that experience comes into play, Naruto added. Okay baby, did you just come to show use your little pet? Mocked Surge. We came to earn a Thunder Badge, said Ashley. Pikachu said ready to battle. Pikachu? Asked Ashley. Pikachu only growled at the Raichu discharging more electricity from its red cheeks. That's unusual. Pikachu really want to go into battle, said Brock surprised that Pikachu would battle with its stronger evolved form. I'm not surprised, said Misty. Pikachu, I'm counting on you, said Ashley. Pikachu, nodded the yellow mouse Pokémon before turning to the Raichu. Oh well, I guess you'll learn that playing with the big boys can be a shocking experience. Ashley versus Lieutenant Surge. Canon. Lieutenant Surge won. As Ashley went to pick up her badly beaten Pikachu, Surge laughed. Well, what can I say, once a baby, always a baby. He taunted as Raichu and the gym trainers laughed at the humiliating defeat. Naruto, finally having enough, stepped up. Shut up you arrogant muscle-bound pea-brain, he yelled, silencing everyone, getting a glare from Surge. What was that, punk? He asked, trying to intimidate the smaller blonde. Are you deaf as well? He asked with no fear in his eyes. You're dead, punk, the gym leader said. Bring it, he said as he walked to the challenger's square. As Ashley passed by the blonde, he handed her a full restore. Here, this should help, he said, getting a grateful look from the girl, right before turning to his opponent. All right, Surge, I know your Pokémon of choice. Here's mine. Setsuna, I choose you, he said as he threw the luxury ball. The pink Dratini appeared from its Pokeball ready for battle. Oh look, a pink Dratini, what, couldn't find a blue one so you chose a girly Pokémon, laughed Surge. This made both Setsuna and Naruto angry. Shut up and battle, Naruto growled. All right, it's your funeral. Raichu Thunder Shock, Surge ordered. The mouse then attacked the pink Dratini with electricity. Setsuna countered it with Thunderbolt, Naruto ordered. The pink dragon Pokémon then launched its own electrical attack. When the two attacks collided, an explosion occurred. What power, Brock said, amazed that Setsuna is able to keep up with Surge's Raichu. What kind of training does his Pokémon go through for them to be that strong? Asked Misty. Ashley didn't say anything because she was a bit jealous because Naruto might get his badge before her, and that upset her greatly, like she was being left behind by everyone she knew. Surge growled that his Pokémon's own attack was countered. Don't think I'm letting that last comment slide. Raichu Mega Punch, ordered Surge. One of Raichu's hands glowed a bright white as it charged at Setsuna. Setsuna dodged, then use Aqua Tail, Naruto ordered. Setsuna, using its slender body, managed to dodge the Mega Punch as its tail started to glow blue, and once it got close, it did a side sweep, managing to land a direct hit which set Raichu back, but it managed to right itself before landing on all fours. Lieutenant Surge growled at this because to lose to a punk was unacceptable. Raichu, you still in the fight? He asked his electric Pokémon. Rai, it said, nodding at its trainer. You must have trained your Raichu very well if it could stand after a direct hit like that, Naruto said, complimenting Surge's Raichu. He. I trained it to take a hit and never back down from a fight, Surge said, getting a nod from Raichu. Let's go Setsuna Dragon Dance, ordered Naruto. Setsuna then let out a mighty roar, releasing a surge of red and black aura. Surge, not wanting to miss the opportunity, attacked. Raichu Thunderbolt, shut it down now, Surge ordered, wanting to stop the pink Dratini from whatever it's doing. Raichu then launched a powerful surge of electricity at the small dragon, engulfing it in electricity. The attack it, and now the pink Dratini was engulfed in electricity. Setsuna! Naruto cried out as he saw that Setsuna started to glow white. DDDRRRRAAAAA. It started to glow. It started to grow larger. The ears grew longer. The small horn protruded out more, and two balls formed at the tip of its tail and under its neck. Don't tell me, it sure is. Setsuna is evolving, everyone said. The Pokémon to appear is a long, serpentine Pokémon with pink scales and white underside. Its magenta eyes are dark and glossy. It has a smooth, rounded snout and a small, white horn on its forehead. Its head is flanked by two small, stylized wings, which are white and curve into a swirl at the base. 3 orange, crystal orbs, 1 on its neck and 2 on its tail, adorn its body. DRAAAA. Setsuna gave a mighty roar when the light faded. Setsuna, you evolved! Naruto shouted happily as he pulled out his Pokédex. Dragonair. The dragon Pokémon. The evolved form of Dratini. Its crystalline orbs appear to give this Pokémon the power to freely control the weather. So what if your Pokémon evolved? I'll still win. Raichu Thunderbolt now, ordered the gym leader. Not this time, Setsuna Dragon Pulse full power. Naruto ordered his newly evolved Dragonair. Setsuna then unleashed a powerful dragon-shaped blast at the Raichu just as it was about to unleash another Thunderbolt. The attack hit dead center at Raichu, stopping it from attacking and sending it flying to the wall behind it. As it crashed into the wall, the impact caused the wall to crack when Surge's Raichu slammed into the wall. The poor Raichu slowly fell to the ground with swirls for eyes, indicating it had fainted. Raichu was unable to battle. The winner is Naruto from Pallet Town, the judge said. I can't believe I lost to a punk. Surge said, completely lost for words as to how he lost to Naruto, but shrugged. As per the rules, if a challenger defeats a gym leader, she must give the challenger a badge, and so he reached into one of his vest pockets and pulled out a thunder badge. Naruto ran to Setsuna and hugged her happily to see that his beloved Setsuna had evolved to win the match. Ashley wanted to congratulate her boyfriend, rival, but she felt a ping of jealousy because had done what she couldn't do. Beat Surge and earned his next badge. Surge approached Naruto and Setsuna. Congrats, kid. You're the first challenger to beat me to date, and as proof of your victory here, a thunder badge, he said, handing Naruto the Covenant Thunder badge. Naruto accepted the badge and joined the rest of his group. He approached Ashley, who tried to hide her jealousy from her boyfriend, but Naruto knew that his victory upset her. Let's go to the Pokemon Center so we may discuss a battle plan, he said as he left the gym, leading his group to the Vermilion Pokemon Center where both Ashley and Naruto had their Pokemon checked out. As Nurse Joy healed their Pokemon, Naruto sat with Ashley and her traveling companions. Sigh, Ashley, I know that this defeat hit you hard, but I know you can do it, he said, trying to cheer her up. Easy for you to say. You already have your third badge and your Setsuna evolved, she said, still upset that she was left behind by Naruto. Ashley, I know you're upset, but don't let this, he said, but was cut off by Ashley. No, you don't understand. While you have been training to be a Pokemon trainer for as long as you can remember, you've been given tools to help you on your journey and you've experienced what being a trainer is like. I just started my journey and I'm not like you, so please, I want to do this on my own, she said in a defeated tone. Naruto was silent, but when he heard her he complied and left to retrieve his Pokemon. Once he did, he left the Pokemon Center, leaving Ashley and her travel companions. When Brock asked why Naruto left, she didn't say a word. Instead, she left to sit somewhere else, wanting to be left alone. Ashley vs. Surge. Battle similar to Canon. Ashley wins. Naruto was heading back to Cerulean City as he was told that the way was blocked off by a Snorlax, so he headed for Route 10, which will take him to Rock Tunnel, which was a direct line to Lavender Town, the home of the Pokemon Tower. As he continued he trek, He remembered what Ashley had said about how he was better equipped, better trained and the most experienced, which was an unfair advantage when traveling with a companion because said companion will begin to doubt him, herself as a trainer. So he then decided to travel alone until he made his way to the Indigo Plateau Conference. Ryoku, the champion of Kanto, was lying in a hospital bed hooked up to IVs, heart monitors, EKG machine and blood bags. The man was staring at the ceiling with his remaining eye thinking about how Minato, a once good friend now the right hand of Team Rocket, had fallen so far. Ryoku took his left hand to touch the stump that was once his right arm. Ryoku closed his eye remembering the fierce battle that took place 3 days ago. Flashback 3 days ago, Celadon City, a beautiful metropolis and home to the Celadon City Gym ran by Erika the Grass Pokémon Gym Leader and also the location of one of Team Rocket's secret bases. However, it wasn't so secret anymore because Ryoku had discovered its current location and is now standing in front of not only the base, but the one in charge of said base, the former Indigo League champion, ex-husband of Kushina and biological father to Naruto. Minato Namikaze, donning a white male Team Rocket uniform with his signature short-sleeved white haori but instead of red flame on the bottom, the flames were black, and on the center of the back was a big red arm. Minato, with his arms folded over his chest, glared at the current Pokemon League champion and husband and father to his former family. Ryoku Tatsumori, we meet again at last. I thought the bomb I set off back in the lab would kill you, but that was just too much to ask for, he said with a clearly fake hurt tone. I'm not that easy to kill, Minato, and I was hoping to never see you again, but then again, small world, the Dragon Master said as he glared at his former best friend. So tell me, how's the bitch and brat doing? Minato asked, trying to get Ryoku riled up since he knew that Ryoku cared deeply for Kushina and Naruto. This got a growl from Ryoku, who didn't fall for the obvious trap. They're fine. In fact, my son started his Pokemon journey a few weeks ago and has already won 2 badges and is going for his 3rd, he said, putting more emphasis of the words, my son, as he remembers all the calls Kushina made to him telling him of their son's exploits. At this, Minato growled. They were mine before you showed up, growled Minato. They were until you left Kushina alone to carry and raise your child, and did you know 2 months before Naruto was born, she was kidnapped to draw you out? The current champion said, informing Minato of an incident involving his ex-wife. Oh, Minato said, almost as if not caring. I was the one who saved her life, and where were you? Nowhere to be seen. I was her pillar when she needed me and the father figure to Naruto when he was growing up, so I did everything you were too scared to do, Minato, he yelled at his former friend. So you married the slut and fathered my bastard child, you want Og, he said, but was stopped when Ryoku decked him in the face, sending flying through the wall of the building behind him. I will not stand here and let you insult my family, you bastard, Ryoku yelled, trying to keep his anger in check, but was failing to do so as some of his aura was leaking out of his body. As the smoke cleared, Ryoku could see movement as if people were scurrying away from a battle, but then he sees a figure walking towards the hole. As always, you have a hairline trigger, said the familiar voice, revealing it to be Minato, but was wearing some sort of futuristic armor. What the hell is that? Minato, what have you done? Ryoku asked. Oh, this is a countermeasure for Aura Guardians like you. You see, an Aura Guardian can only be beaten by another, but since they're rare, the R&D of Team Rocket has been researching a way to artificially draw on the aura around us and weaponize it for our own troops, Minato said with a sinister grin. Artificial Aura Guardians, you've fallen from grace, Minato. The person who was my friend is dead, and now all that's left is this monster before me. So as my final duty to my fallen comrade, I will terminate you, said Ryoku in a defeated tone as he unleashed his dragon aura. I like to see you try, Minato grinned as he activated the armor, drawing an aura from the air. The aura was yellow and was creating electricity that was dancing around him, which was ironic since Minato was considered the best electric Pokemon trainer since Lieutenant Surge, Watson and Volkner. The two glared at each other as if waiting for the other to flinch first. It was then debris from the hole in the wall fell that all hell broke loose. Both Ryoku and Minato charged at each other with blinding speed that when they meet in the middle, their impact created a shockwave so powerful that it destroyed every window, uprooted street signs, flipped vehicles, and anyone unfortunate enough to have been outside were knocked back. The two were locked with their hands gripping one another. Aura surged from them as if fighting for dominance. Then Ryoku cocked his head back and delivered a nose-breaking headbutt, which stunned Minato long enough for Ryoku to open his mouth. Dragon Pulse. A dragon of pure energy launched from Ryoku's mouth and slammed into Minato. Shockwave. Minato yelled as he created a surge of electrical energy to deflect Ryoku's attack. But Ryoku anticipated this, so he sent aura to his hands, thus taking the form of Dragon Claw, and charged at Minato. In seeing this, Minato did the same, creating Twin Thunder Punch. The two fought each other in hand-to-hand combat. The fighting was intense. So intense that the concrete street under their feet cracked from each time their punches and kicks collided with each other or were blocked. As this was going on, the police lead by Officer Jenny helped to evacuate the soon-to-be war zone while trying to get some of her own personnel into the building to arrest the members of Team Rocket before they managed to escape. But since Ryoku and Minato were too close to the secret lab, the officers stood back and waited for the opportunity to rush in and apprehend some members of the infamous organization. Time skip. The two combatants were staring down each other, heavily wounded. Ryoku had lost his right arm and right eye, while Minato's injuries mirrored Ryoku's, only he was missing his left eye and arm. Both their armor showed signs of heavy damage, but Minato's were worse off due to the damage the armor's circuitry giving out when he sustained his injuries. "Give up, Minato. You've lost," the current champion said as he panted heavily. Minato chuckled a bit. "You think this is over? Not by a long shot. You may have won today, but Team Rocket will thrive, and all data from the Celadon City laboratory has been moved to the other locations around the region. So even if this location has been compromised, Team Rocket's ambitions will continue," he said as two Team Rocket grunts appeared flanking the down Minato. One of the grunts called a coughing and had it use smokescreen to cover their escape. Once they've disappeared, Ryoku had finally passed out due to excessive blood loss. The last thing he could recall before blacking out was Officer Jenny running to him. Flashback. And Ryoku sighed and had only thing to say as he felt a wave of dread rolling over him. "Kushina is going to kill me." The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.